I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Small boat migrants are going to be moved from hotels to former army barracks.
The government makes the announcement in an effort to find a cheaper and more appropriate solution to accommodate those who cross the Channel in dinghies.
Now, under these plans, the first 900 will be moved to 2 barracks, one in Inverness and one in East Sussex, by the end of next month.
Well, local opposition is already mounting, with residents expressing concern over consultation, infrastructure and the suitability of the sites.
But these are plans used by previous governments. They were challenged by human rights lawyers, and will they be scuppered before they've even started?
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew?
The King is heckled by a protester over what he knew about the relationship between Prince Andrew and the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It comes as it's being reported this morning that Buckingham Palace is in talks to find Sarah Ferguson a new home.
Prison governors accuse the government of pantomime politics over the mistaken release of a migrant sex offender, adding that the new checklist announced by the Foreign Secretary won't cut it, or the Justice Secretary, sorry, won't cut it.
Reform UK promises deep cuts to the civil service and a cull of Whitehall. We'll be joined by Reform MP Danny Krueger later in the programme.
British tourists are locked down in hotels in Jamaica as Hurricane Melissa becomes the strongest storm on the planet. It's edging towards the Caribbean island as we speak. It's expected to make landfall in just a matter of hours.
President Trump talks up a new golden age of US-Japan alliance as a rare earth minerals deal is signed.
Shrinkflation, piling pressure on your grocery budgets. Coffee, toothpaste, even Gaviscon dwindling in size.
In sport this morning, there's no love lost between Celtic now and Brendan Rodgers as he resigns. Sheffield Wednesday could be deducted even more points after going into receivership, and after beating Manchester United, Grimsby Town attempt another giant killing in the Carabao Cup tonight.
There's some sunshine, but also a bit of rain around today. Stick around to find out which you're going to see more of.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. Wherever you're watching, however you're listening, this is GB News. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is Breakfast.
much happening on the news front today, and we hope to involve you in much of it. That hurricane heading towards Jamaica, very frightening for people there. There are already 3 fatalities, so that is not looking good.
No, and I was hearing that British tourists are being locked in their hotel rooms because some flights back to the UK have been cancelled. So they're being locked in their hotel rooms for their own safety, and rations are being brought round to them from room service. So very scary, you'd imagine, for people who are locked down in Jamaica right now, expecting Hurricane Melissa to make landfall. Do you know, Jamaica has never experienced a Category 5 storm.
Really?
Have you ever been to Jamaica?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about Jamaica.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. There was two places. There was Ian Fleming had a place, Golden Eye, which is there. Noel Coward, Firefly. Very close to each other.
Oh.
Amazing places you can go to. Well, it's just a small part of Jamaica.
Well, there are amazing places around Britain, in East Sussex and now Inverness, where you're going to have a migrant near you, where they're going to be housed in former army bases there, and that is going to be a big difference to the communities there, it has to be said. You know, somewhere like Inverness, very beautiful, strong community there. How are you going to react to hundreds, if not thousands, of migrants planted on your doorstep? Let us know, have your say this morning.
Yeah, and this is our top story this morning, that thousands of small boat migrants are going to be moved out of hotels and into old army barracks.
Well, this comes as the Home Secretary says she is absolutely furious that hotels are still being used to house people coming into the country. So out of hotels and into army barracks, that's the question. Fraser Myers joins us now in the studio for all of this. I don't see, they're making a big difference here as if, oh, this is the whole problem solved, we're taking them out of your community. I would argue they're putting them into communities and they're going to transform those communities.
Yeah, that's right. I think obviously people are annoyed about the problem of asylum hotels. The cost has ballooned. There was a recent damning report came out this week saying that the cost of migrant hotels, the 10-year contracts have gone from costing $5 billion to $15 billion. So, of course, that's a problem and we need to bear down on the cost. But I think the government is on hiding to nothing if it thinks that simply moving illegal migrants from one place to another is going to dissipate public anger. And as you said, you know, you put them somewhere like Inverness or a place like East Sussex. You know, military bases are not in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. They are part of communities. And we now have, I think, 9 in 10 local authorities are housing asylum seekers.
But look how they're really going to change the makeup of somewhere like Inverness. You know, what people do, who they are.
Rural little town.
Yeah.
Well, precisely, and you know, this becomes a big problem. There's also, you know, there's nothing for these people to do, and then that creates problems. That inevitably leads to tensions. It leads to people wandering around aimlessly and getting themselves often into trouble, as we've seen on many occasions already.
Fascinating.
Well, do you know what I did in Inverness? I've been in Inverness, and I was on a canal boat. A boat that took me down the Caledonian Canal and into Loch Ness. So are they all going to do that? Because I'm not sure what else there is to do in Inverness. So watch a bit of football,
but that's
maybe.
The worry.
That is always the worry. And, you know, we've seen an enormous... again, I don't want to suggest by any means that anything like a majority of people coming over are criminals, but there are... Many crimes have been committed. Many people who are in local areas feel threatened by this. I mean, we just had the absolute farce of the Epping sexual assault, and you know, not only was he, at least he was caught, but then he was released from prison. Took days to catch him, and that was just, you know, the tip of the iceberg in terms of this problem. There were other people in that hotel from Epping who were charged with sexual assault. We had,
you know, Fraser, you say, you know, you don't want to suggest this and that, and you're absolutely right. But the fact remains, and I will speak on behalf of 99% of people watching and listening to us today, and they believe it is not our problem.
I think that's why the government is so wrong to think that this is simply about moving people around. Many people will ask, quite rightly, well, these people should not be here in the first place. What is the government's policy? What is the government's plan to stop the boats from arriving? Let alone, you know, where people are here, we need to find somewhere to house them while they're processed, while we look at their
What about Rwanda? What about housing them in Rwanda?
Well, this is interesting because privately some people within the government are suggesting they may have scrapped that too soon. So will we see a revival? I don't know. It might be a bit slightly too embarrassing, a U-turn for this government, but people are acknowledging that there does need to be some sort of deterrent. We cannot simply expect people to, if there is basically no consequence to arriving in the UK illegally, in fact, on the contrary, you'll be put up in a hotel potentially, then what is going to stop the boats?
Well, talking of U-turns, fascinating this has come from a Labour government who previously opposed the use of military barracks for asylum seekers.
That's right, and there was a terrible incident that led to the use of them being curtailed in Marston, where there was incredible overcrowding that led to extremely unsanitary conditions and diseases, and it's understandable why that particular site needed to be closed down. But I'm not sure why, in principle, it was necessarily worse to house people in military barracks as opposed to hotels.
But there are serious safety and legal risks, and I mean, you alluded to a few there. There's also logistical issues, aren't there? There's buildings with asbestos, there's land that's contaminated with chemicals, potentially unexploded bombs as well, if we're talking about military sites. This won't necessarily be cheaper, because it needs to be made suitable.
That's right, and I think that's probably why the Home Office, for all its faults, probably thought, it's just much easier to put them in hotels. But the problem is that should only have ever been a temporary solution. It's become a little bit too permanent a problem. And again, I'll come back to the fact we're not dealing with the issue that simply so many people are still arriving, and that creates the problem of then you having to process them and deal with them when they're on British soil.
Well, look, those are Fraser's views this morning. We want your views to be able to reflect those on television, on radio, online. Have your say. Get in touch with us. Leave your opinion on what you think about this latest move about housing migrants. Meanwhile, just to predict for you this hurricane Melissa, Jamaicans already taking shelter there. 3 people have been killed so far as the strongest hurricane to hit the island since records began. Got there. Experts have warned of a potentially unimaginable impact with that.
Yeah, the Jamaican Prime Minister's been speaking this morning saying this is stark. He says, I don't believe there's any infrastructure within this region that can withstand a Category 5 storm.
Well, there you see the centre of the storm there, and this is the plane which the scientists use to fly through that or stay in the calmer areas, just gauging the speed of everything and how it's happening. But it'll be the strongest ever hurricane to hit, and it could well be catastrophic. More on that very shortly. Meanwhile, back at home, Buckingham Palace is in talks to find a new home for Sarah Ferguson as discussions continue over Prince Andrew's future.
Well, the pair still share the 30-room Windsor residence alongside the late Queen's corgis. But according to the Sun newspaper this morning, Prince Andrew gave the King an ultimatum, demanding that he should be given Frogmore Cottage for himself and Adelaide Cottage for Sarah Ferguson.
Well, this comes as the King was heckled by his brother's links to Jeffrey Epstein during a visit to Lichfield Cathedral in Staffordshire yesterday. Here's what happened.
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew's Charles? What do you think? Should the MPs be allowed to debate the royals in the House of Commons?
Oh, shut up.
Well, the crowd turned on that protester.
They did. You can see it there. You can see it there.
Yeah.
You can see there's a time and a place for everything. But that's not about the King, or it's not about the scandal. That's about him. That's about Big Mouth in the crowd there, just wanting attention for himself. Jack Stokes, let's get the opinions now of Royal Commentator. Jack, what did you think about that heckling that went on yesterday?
Hi, Eamonn. Yeah, no, well, we've seen this time and time again, haven't we? I think we saw it, the last time we saw it was at the late Queen's funeral. There was a heckler at that, and they got shut down quite quickly as well. They don't tend to answer to hecklers anyway. It's always ignored. So it seems pretty pointless. And like you say, it's normally somebody trying to get some attention on themselves in that kind of instance, which is unfortunate. And, you know, the King's not done anything wrong. He's actually trying to go about his day-to-day work. He's still sort of struggling on as he always has. You know, he's a real hard worker, and he doesn't need to hear that kind of situation when he's trying to deal with it, probably behind closed doors with his brother. What's going on there? Because that's a completely different matter.
Because this is a problem, Andrew is a problem, that simply won't go away.
No. Well, that, again, you know, so behind closed doors, I think that there are discussions going on. I think Prince Andrew does know that this isn't going away himself, and now he's sort of trying to say, right, well, what can I do instead? How can I, you know, sort of go away quietly? So now if he's suggesting he's moving to smaller houses, but that isn't a problem. That's a problem in itself, and I don't think that will go away, because then we'll have public going, well, why is he moving to another house on the royal estates? He should be moving completely away from the royal estates. And you know, they're still looking into the emails. They're looking into those emails in New York, and what else is going to come out of those emails, we still don't know. Prince Andrew still, you know, we reiterate, hasn't been found guilty of anything as yet. So I think there's that difficulty with the king, knowing that there's been no supposed guilt found on his part. I mean, yes, we know that he's had dodgy investments. He's not probably the most open of the royal family, so that's a problem, and that's where the king's going, I think, on that front. You know,
but Jack, the big question screaming out. I'm looking at page 5 in the Daily Mail today, and they have one big question, and that big question is, why should the king, in their words, say, house 2 non-working royals who have brought nothing but shame to the royal family? So what is the obligation, do you think?
I think the obligation is that it is his brother, and at the moment there's been no guilt found. So I think it's very difficult for the king. You know, if it's your own brother saying, look, I've never been found guilty of anything, and now you're trying to force me out, it's quite difficult to come to terms with that, knowing that you're trying to force somebody out for something that supposedly he hasn't.
Completely on the edge, and she has nowhere to go and no one to go with.
I think they do have places to go. They've got their children. They've got probably quite a lot of money that they've built up over all of their investments throughout the world that they've been dealing with. But I do feel that, you know, the palace should just be able to say, look, if they think he's innocent, say, look, he's innocent, come on in. Interview everybody you want to, and have a look through all our paperwork, you know, look through any dossiers you want. Let's just open it all up and say, come on in and find him innocent. But they're not doing that. They it almost feels like they've closed ranks. So something's not going on in the correct way. You know, we should be able to just say, look, come on in. Look at all our documents. We're innocent. But they're not. And why they're not doing that, I just don't understand.
Question. Jack Stooks, good to get your thoughts this morning. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Jack. Thank you.
Is it not time, do you think, for Sarah Ferguson to pay for her own housing? I mean,
well, she got a very good settlement originally. I mean, she'll say she didn't, but everybody around her said that she did, and the Queen paid a lot of her bills for many years. But Sarah and money don't really seem to go together. They don't seem to be very compatible. But she's very likeable, unlike her husband, who isn't very likeable. And I think she would have a lot of friends, a lot of people who would rate her or enjoy her company.
Yeah, and potentially try and help her out.
I wonder where they go and live abroad. You see, I wonder what things...
That's probably what the king would like them to do. There's been talk of Scotland. I mean, that was reported in the papers a few weeks ago.
Abroad.
Have gone. Well, Scotland, it's a different country, isn't it? But a Commonwealth country, maybe very welcome.
I know. I'm thinking somewhere like, you know, Saudi Arabia or whatever, you know, or Dubai or whatever. You think if they have a few quid, as Jack was saying there, then they could afford to live somewhere with less pressure, less attention on them, or maybe just good attention on them.
Yeah, well, I do feel like Prince Andrew does like the attention, though, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, Alex Burkhill now. Alex is going to give you the weather update, and it's very cold out there this morning, it has to be said. Alex, good morning.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, things are going to be a bit mixed through today. There will be quite a bit of sunshine on offer, but also some rain at times too. A bit of a murky, drizzly start across some southern counties, and whilst a lot of this rain is going to clear away, some far south-southwestern parts will stay quite grey, and there could be a bit more drizzly rain to push its way in. Otherwise, we're looking at sunny spells for many of us, but also quite a few showers, these mainly pushing their way in across parts of Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, some of them feeding into other areas too. Temperatures are going to be around or a little bit below average for some, especially towards the north, further south, nearer normal with highs of around 15, possibly even 16 Celsius. As we go into this evening, we're going to stick with the showery theme across western parts of Scotland in particular. Some of them could be quite heavy. Further east, a little bit cloudier across some parts of Aberdeenshire and towards the far northeast of Scotland, with a few bits of rain here as well. More showers to come through this evening across parts of Northern Ireland. Plenty of showers feeding into northwest England and North Wales. Elsewhere across many parts of England and Wales, ending the day largely fine, albeit cloud and rain across the far southwest will push its way northeastwards as we go through the start of the night and becoming a bit more widespread as we go overnight as well. So central counties of England and Wales likely to be pretty cloudy and pretty wet through the early hours of tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, some clear spells here and there, yes, but also a fair few showers as well. For many, it's actually going to be a slightly chillier night than last night, more widely seeing temperatures dropping into single figures, could get close to freezing in some sheltered spots of Scotland. As we go through tomorrow then, quite cloudy, wet at times across the southern third of the UK, more rain pushing in from the west and southwest. Further north, similar to today really, so there will be some sunny spells around, but also quite a few showers, these heaviest, most frequent across western parts of Scotland. Again, a north-south split when it comes to temperatures, cooler in the north, relatively mild further south. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now do stay with us. Still to come, Donald Trump is in Japan and has signed a new minerals deal. We're going to tell you more about that next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Breakfast. Now, the United States and Japan have signed a new rare earths mineral deal during talks between President Donald Trump and Japan's new Prime Minister, Sanae Takanichi.
Well, the two leaders described it as the start of a golden age for their alliance through the agreement. It also confirms a 50% tariff on Japanese exports to America, a measure first proposed earlier this year. Now, it marks one of the first major tests of Takaichi's leadership and a significant step in Washington's trade strategy.
Well, we're now joined by US political analyst Scotty Nell Hughes. Morning to you, Scotty. And it seemed the two leaders got along quite well.
They did. Of course, they're talking about both of their favorite subjects, gold, and issuing in the golden age of in both countries. Let me just say this. What we're seeing on this Asian trip is classic Trump. He is going in for decades. We've seen presidents go on these overseas trips, and they've gone in and they've capitulated and they've apologized. Trump is not doing that. He's going in. He's showing that America first doesn't mean America alone. And so therefore, he's sitting eye to eye with some of these key leaders in the Pacific and going to make deals one-on-one, which is where Trump works best.
Really enjoyed this Asian trip, hasn't he, Scotty? I mean, we saw him dancing on the runway in Kuala Lumpur over the weekend, and then he met the Emperor yesterday of Japan.
Absolutely. It was a modified dance, but you can tell it's obviously been a long day. I mean, you read some of the reporters that are on the trip, and they said they literally landed and they went straight to President Trump's first visit in Malaysia. There was no resting period. So he is once again taking to the ground, and he's going to maximize this trip. Why? Well, it's not also just about making deals, because it's about optics as well. He wants to show that whether China is involved or not, the U.S. is going to have a very strong presence within the Asian theater, and that they're going to make sure that they're going to back up some of their allies of South Korea and Japan. And he's making sure he confirms this with those leaders, that they know that they can count on the United States if they ever need to be put in a compromised position.
And tell us about this deal that's been signed between Japan and the US. What difference will it make to the US and people at home?
Well, we're still trying to get all the details, but I think one of the greatest parts about it is we have an issue here in America when it comes to some of our raw minerals and some of our deals for our, as we learned post-COVID, for our batteries. And so when I think the greatest thing is that we're going to get derivative products such as permanent magnets, batteries, catalysts, and optical materials, which is a key function to a lot of our electronics here in the United States, as we've learned. When you don't have chips for your vehicles and you have a large amount of products that use those chips, you're basically dead in the water. So I think this was a very good deal. Hopefully, we'll continue to increase business between the two. And once again, I still believe that China hopefully will see this and possibly invite President Trump while he's in the area to come on over for a cup of tea.
There's still time, isn't there, Scotty? Thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
OK, cold day outside, as we were saying. Let's see if it's doing or having any effect on the roads.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M80 on slip at Junction 4, Mollinsburn, is closed to all southbound traffic due to overnight roadworks. Drivers should follow the signed diversion and expect extended journey times. The A55's Britannia Bridge enforces a speed limit of 30 miles per hour until further notice. In Bedfordshire, the M1 northbound between Junction 11A and Junction 12 has a road traffic collision, leaving 3 of 4 lanes closed and delays of 50 minutes expected. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway replaces trains with buses between Cleethorpes and Barton-on-Humber, and Northern buses replace services between Corkickle and Whitehaven. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Well, we reached that time of the day where it's just nice as you get up, as you enter the day, to maybe have a bit of a reflection as to what's ahead.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Welcome to the Anglican Parish of St Andrews, Wimbledon. I'm Santosh, I serve as the vicar here.
A key question in the modern world is how do you bring different people together without those differences tearing us apart? Many people long for diversity, but without division. Unity without uniformity. It's fascinating to me how the very earliest Christian community brought together those from diverse social, cultural, educational backgrounds who were all gripped by the person of Jesus Christ. Acts chapter 1 tells us when they arrived and went upstairs to the room where they were staying, those present were Peter, John, James, Andrew, Philip, Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas son of James. Today, as we consider the last two in that list, St. Simon and St. Jude, it's striking to think how different these men may have been. One perhaps known for nationalistic anti-Roman zeal. The other came to be known as the patron saint of desperate causes. And yet, in following Jesus, they were united in a common mission. Tradition has it that they went as missionaries to Persia and were there martyred together. The Book of Acts continues to show how this message about Jesus spread from Jerusalem to Judea out to the ends of the earth. And even here in faraway Wimbledon, we find something similar. People from very diverse backgrounds are united by the life and mission of Jesus. I've often wondered to myself, what is it about Jesus that seems to have this power to unite very different people into a common mission? Mission that might even be worth suffering and sacrificing for. St. Simon and St. Jude's Day is an inspiring reminder that unity in diversity is possible, though it probably won't be easy. We need a common cause by which to unite around.
You know, there was that story last week about churches closing down in this country at an unprecedented rate. And I was just looking at the Reverend and his church there in the background, which looked very warm, very welcoming, very, very nice. And it's a great place for reflection. I mean, to find a church that you like and to go into a church and feel the ambience of it and the retreat from the madness and the anger of everyday life is really, really nice. So that was a particularly nice church there.
Yeah, and it's nice to sit and reflect, isn't it? And to be away from devices as well.
Devices,
When I go to Mass, just having the phone away for an hour just to be still with your thoughts is really nice sometimes.
And we were talking about that Trump story about, you know, him getting stuff that you can make batteries with. Are batteries not the most irritating thing in your life? You know, you think of how many devices you have that need charged. I need to charge this, I need to charge. I'm sure they can invent things that don't need charged, but they won't because there's no money in that. And we're going to talk about shrinkflation later today.
Which gets your goat, doesn't it?
It does
get
all
of our goats.
Well, have your say on it. And we're talking about things that are just shrinking. Everything's shrinking. Just ridiculous.
It's not your imagination. It's happening across the board, isn't it?
It's now the trend.
Butter, cheese.
Medicines.
Medicines?
Yeah, Gaviscon. Gaviscon, they're talking about Gaviscon today. And if you're like me, you'll have to drink quite a lot of Gaviscon. That's the thing. Anyway, we've got the sport next. Big news in Glasgow. Brendan Rodgers resigning as Celtic manager. And, well, there's all sorts of accusations coming there as to why that is. Divisive, misleading, self-serving behaviour, people are saying. But you know, Brendan has a difficult relationship with a lot of the supporters there. What's happened? Paul will have the details next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I say, now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're going to start in Scotland this morning with sport. Massive news there with the Celtic manager, Brendan Rodgers, walking away from his post. Paul, what can you tell us?
Well, the first thing is it's a weird thing, isn't it, to have any manager walk away. It very, very rarely happens because they usually get such a big payout if they get sacked. If you resign, then that's it. You walk away and you're gone. So very rarely does that happen. So it was announced last night. So we're looking at about 9 o'clock, 9:45 last night. The way Celtic are looking at the moment is not good. They're 8 points behind Hearts, who are at the top of the Scottish Premiership. They're out of the Champions League, and there was things that Brendan Rodgers has been saying recently. Now, one of them was the fact he was saying that the signings were forced on him. There's another one where he says there was no extension that was offered to him as far as a contract was concerned. And then it was the game the other day that he said there's no way you're going to a race and be given the keys to a Honda Civic and say, I want you to drive it like a Ferrari. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So the board saw that as pretty much, that's an insult to them. They have come back and said, well, he was completely across every person that we signed. Nothing was done without he say-so. And the major shareholder at Celtic is a man called Dermot Desmond. Now, Dermot Desmond has probably the best moustache in football. We got Dermot. I mean, just to look at Dermot's moustache is enough to see as it is. But he released a statement last night and said that when we brought Brendan back to Celtic, it was done with complete trust and belief in his ability to lead the club into a new era of sustained success. OK, fair enough. Then said, unfortunately, his conduct and communication in recent months have not reflected that trust. So he's called his words. There he is. Look at that. That's the fella in the middle there. This Dermot called his words. This is Dermot Desmond talking about Brendan Rodgers. Said he is divisive, misleading and self-serving. And this is a long statement that Celtic put out yesterday, straight after the resignation. So basically, no love lost between the two of them. Yeah. And your friend Martin O'Neill, at 72, is going in to take over as interim manager. Yeah, well, Martin, hugely successful manager at Celtic, very, very popular there. And, Brendan, there has been previous with Brendan, leaving the club, and a lot of fans don't forgive that. Absolutely. No such complaints with Martin there in the short term. But I would think Brendan would have no difficulty finding a job in England. I don't know. I don't think he'd have trouble finding a job, but at what level, though? Premier League level?
But you see it as a different project. So say it was Leicester City, say it was Sheffield Wednesday or whatever. It could be a different project involving ownership or whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think he'll have trouble finding a job, but it's at what level do you want to go in? The other thing is who will then take over as new permanent manager of Celtic. Now, Celtic was Brendan Rodgers, and then he left, and they brought in Ange Postecoglou. And then he left. So then Brendan Rodgers came in. Would they go back again? Ange Postecoglou is out of a job.
Well, he's free.
He's free, and they loved him at Celtic at the time. I wonder.
Now, you're very good at predicting Ange's moves.
I have been very good so far. I'm not sure whether it's going to happen, though. I'm not sure whether this is the one.
I tell you what's not very good news, and there will be a lot of people watching the space. Television coverage means that this year's Boxing Day matches, and it's really reaching front pages today. Boxing Day footy red card, meaning there's only one match scheduled for the Boxing Day schedule so far.
I'm not sure how I feel about this. I don't know whether... I like football tradition, and I know you do as well. But Boxing Day football, is it that important these days? Because so much is on TV. If you go back... they used to play football on Christmas Day. 65 is when the last time they used to do that. They used to play on Christmas Day. Then there was always Boxing Day fixtures. So now they're saying there's only going to be one. The reason is because Boxing Day is on a Friday. Then you'd have all the games over the weekend. So, I'm torn between it. I don't look at it and think, this is a disaster. What are we going to do?
Well, I tell you what is a disaster. I hear what you're saying and totally agree with all of that. But the disaster is we've now got FA Cup games exclusively on weekends. You've got European games. You've got international. You've got too many games.
Too many
basically. Too many commitments, too greedy, and TV has to fulfil all its obligations.
Everything, the bottom line is money and how many games are going to be on TV. And everything is worked around that, not around going to see the games, actually be there in the flesh. It's about what you see on TV.
OK. Sheffield Wednesday, they do look as though they're going to get a buyer.
Yeah, that's good news. They're 16 points from safety now. They're minus 6 points after being deducted 12.
Will they be relegated?
Well, it looks like it.
It will be.
I still think the fans would rather be relegated and have another go with a new owner and wipe the slate clean.
And they'll have a hugely successful season next year.
Yeah, exactly. So... Chansiri, who's the most hated owner I think there's ever been, they're also saying that Sheffield Wednesday could now be hit with 2 more points deductions over failure to pay staff. Is this really fair? Is that really fair? The fact that the deductions keep coming... I know the rules are broken, but it always seems to be some bad chairman... It's their fault. It's not really the fault of the club, and it's certainly not the fault of the fans or the players. So you think, is it right that
you've got to blame somebody, don't you?
This is
got to be a penalty.
I know someone has to pay the piper here, but I just think it seems a bit unfair. But anyway, there are 27,000 people turned up at Hillsborough. They spent £200,000 in the club shop, and now everybody's going back there again, thinking clean slate, let's go again.
Well, have your say, folks. Anything you want to say about any of the subjects we've talked about, whether it's Celtic, Sheffield Wednesday, or football on the telly on Boxing Day, or football available to you at Boxing Day or not, let us know. Have your say. Cheers, Paul. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Boyty. Now, time is ticking on your chance to win the biggest prize of the year in our Great British Giveaway. Just how many days left? 3 days, it must be. 3 days left to win a brand new motorhome and 30 grand in tax-free cash. Here are all of the details that you need.
There's just 3 days to see how you can win big, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. The coming year could be your best yet, but hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, David Lammy says that human error was the reason that Hadush Kubatu was released from prison on Friday. Is that good enough? We're going to be discussing that and much more in the papers with Scarlett Maguire and David Wooding. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast across Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Many parts of southern Europe are going to have a fine day tomorrow, albeit there are a few showers here and there. And actually across parts of Portugal and Spain, heavy thundery rain pushing through here. There's the potential for 50 to 100 millimetres of rain in just a day or so, which is around the average for October. But further east, like I said, a lot of dry weather to be had. But worth noting, some showery rain pushing its way eastwards across parts of Cyprus, though this doesn't look especially heavy. More fine weather for most as we go through the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
We do have problems in the UK at the moment, but I will say I don't think it's all doom and gloom. We have great safety nets here, strict protections to protect and help children. We have free education ranking 4th in the world for universities as well. Free NHS, dodgy as it may be sometimes. And we also have a lot of culture, history and green spaces, which I think is really important. 74% of children said that they can walk to a park or green space near them. So I don't think it's all that bad, but I do think we have lost our sense of community, and that's something that we need to work on.
Why do you think it is that so many fewer people are having children now? I mean, the birthing, the sort of fertility crisis that this country has entered into, to be fair, matching basically all of the developed world, fewer and fewer people are having children.
I don't think it's just about the money. I think there's actually a huge social media rise of child-free influencers. I don't know if you've seen any of these, but they're just very anti-children.
They call them dinks. Have you heard of dinks? Double income, no kids.
Oh, yeah. It's very interesting. And I think it's, you know, we look at somewhere like Somalia, where they have around average 5 children per family. They have virtually no benefit system, no pension system. Their children are their pension. And so I think in the UK, maybe we have too many options. People, I'm not saying it's all avocado on toast, but I think people are just really not seeing it as a popular option.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
we've got Scarlett Maguire, we've got David Wooding to talk about the stories making the news, and this is a big story that will make the news as we show you the meteorological plane flying through the eye of this hurricane now, and Scarlett, this is going to cause devastation.
This is absolutely this is a Category 5 hurricanes. I am not an expert in meteorology, but it's as high as you get. Very, very rare.
I mean, it looks so calm here as we're looking at that, but it is anything but.
Anything but. And then if you look at the pictures of Jamaica, there are no sturdy buildings. I mean, you just see lots. I mean, I'm not saying shacks, and obviously it's a proper place that's, but it's not built for hurricanes.
And the Prime Minister was saying exactly that this morning, saying to American outlets, there is not a single bit of infrastructure on that island that can withstand a Category 5 storm. Well, they've never seen it.
He's also told Jamaicans to pray as the hurricane intensifies before it actually hits ground.
And he's also done mandatory evacuation from places to go into to leave your homes and go into centres, and quite a lot of people are refusing to do it. But the centres aren't very good. But I mean, they're trying to save lives, and for the next 24 hours, it is going to be horrendous.
Have anybody here ever experienced a hurricane or a typhoon or really? I've experienced really bad storms. This was on Cyprus, I think it was, but it is scary.
Oh,
scary.
When I was a child, we lived on the east coast of the States, and we had regular hurricanes. Oh, and we literally lived on the beach. I mean, our front garden was sand, and so we'd have to go and stay with other people when the hurricanes came. They're terrifying.
Yeah. I remember the great storm of 1987, when all the trees were brought down over the roads. And I mean, I was on a day off that day, and slates came off the roof, and the fences came down and everything. And it wasn't until I went to the shops I realised that there was no food because everything had been cut off. But I mean, that was nothing compared to what we've got here. We're talking about 2.5 foot of water is going to fall, rain is going to fall.
We can see the power of Melissa on the screen now. I mean, that's from space, these images, and you can see it swirling around. I mean, it's going to be...
And Category 5 is the highest there is on hurricane scale. So
and it's the most powerful storm in the world so far this year.
There's going to be a huge relief effort after this. I mean, it's going to be the whole country will need rebuilding.
Everybody who's going to experience that well. I mean, imagine being caught out there. I mean, you may have family who are caught out there at the minute. You may have been speaking to them. If so, get in touch with us this morning. We'll happily reflect that.
There are a lot of British tourists that are currently stuck in hotels, so we're thinking of them this morning as well.
Let's talk about asylum seekers, though, David, and these small boat migrants. And we're talking about opening up army barracks in places in East Sussex and Inverness here as well.
Yeah,
I cannot listen to this without realising these will have massive effects, whether they're good or whether they're bad, on local communities.
Absolutely. The last time they did this, Manston, I think it was, it was stopped because the courts ruled that it was not an inhumane place to keep migrants. So
there's overcrowding.
Overcrowding.
Diseases.
So we'll see what happens here. The other interesting thing in these two communities, the Cameron Barracks in Inverness and the Crowborough one in East Sussex. I mean, these communities probably are not used to seeing migrants yet. I mean, Crowborough, I was just looking up, it's 95% white and it's mostly women. There's a big female population. I think it's about 53% female population. And there isn't, I mean, I don't know, it's a small village in the Garden of England. I mean, it's going to be...
There's going to be huge local opposition to that.
Yeah, that will happen. So it's interesting that they're trying this, but obviously Keir Starmer and his team have got to do some desperate measures because there's 32,000 people living in hotels at the moment at vast expense. And we read only yesterday that the cost of putting people in hotels, estimated at £4.5 billion, was in fact near 15 billion pounds.
Tripled.
Yeah.
Tripled
so a lot's got to be done in that area, and this is one. But as is always the case, and as the Tories found to their cost, every time you try to do something like this, the courts get involved and they're stopped.
David, just bringing in some live pictures here of President Trump, and he's visiting a naval base in Japan here with the Japanese Prime Minister. So there he is. He's had a very good tour around there, making very good use of the photographic opportunities.
As always, yeah, they signed a rare earths mineral deal yesterday, and Donald Trump described it as a new golden age for US-Japan relations. The pair obviously have a lot in common, don't they? President Trump and the new Japanese Prime Minister. They are both nation first, very Trumpian in her views. This is Sunai Takichi, who's the new Japanese Prime Minister.
But we do have to understand that when she says nation first, the nation she's thinking about is Japan, not the US. There will be arguments. And the other thing about Japan is that what they've learned and what she's learnt, although she's very new, she's only new in the job, she's seen it happen, is the problem is that Trump changes from day to day, so you're never quite sure what's going to happen.
Right, let's move on to another story, and this is about a school uniform. And Scarlett, an all-girls grammar school is going to change its uniform. And can you tell us what that is?
So the all-girls grammar school has pink shirts, and they've decided that because it's going to become a mixed school, that they should have blue shirts that everybody can wear. So it's not pink for girls and blue for boys, and that the girls will wear ties. And it's quite interesting because the Daily Mail did this story as outrage, but couldn't find anybody who said it was terrible to move from pink to blue. I mean, whether we mind boys wearing pink shirts, I don't know. But what they found somebody who minded girls wearing ties. Now, when I was at school, I wore a tie. I mean, my great rebellion was when I decided to stop wearing a tie. But that was the school uniform. I mean, it had nothing to do with whether I looked like a boy or not. So I think this is quite an interesting story. Really, it's about having a uniform for everybody so that everybody looks the same.
Well, I mean, call me old-fashioned, but it was always pink for a girl and blue for a boy. And, of course, we've changed now, and pink is accessible. Have you got a pink shirt, Eamonn?
Oh, well, you see, the idea of men wearing pink ties, for instance.
Unlike Eamonn.
Eamonn wears lots of pink. I think pink's nice.
Pink shows you.
OK, hold on.
I think pink shirts look great on men.
With Alex.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, things are going to be a bit mixed through today. There will be quite a bit of sunshine on offer, but also some rain at times too. A bit of a murky, drizzly start across some southern counties, and whilst a lot of this rain is going to clear away, some far south-southwestern parts will stay quite grey, and there could be a bit more drizzly rain to push its way in. Otherwise, we're looking at sunny spells for many of us, but also quite a few showers, these mainly pushing their way in across parts of Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, some of them feeding into other areas too. Temperatures are going to be around or a little bit below average for some, especially towards the north, further south, nearer normal with highs of around 15, possibly even 16 Celsius. As we go into this evening, we're going to stick with the showery theme across western parts of Scotland in particular. Some of them could be quite heavy. Further east, a little bit cloudier across some parts of Aberdeenshire and towards the far northeast of Scotland, with a few bits of rain here as well. More showers to come through this evening across parts of Northern Ireland. Plenty of showers feeding into northwest England and North Wales. Elsewhere across many parts of England and Wales, ending the day largely fine, albeit cloud and rain across the far southwest will push its way northeastwards as we go through the start of the night and becoming a bit more widespread as we go overnight as well. So central counties of England and Wales likely to be pretty cloudy and pretty wet through the early hours of tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, some clear spells here and there, yes, but also a fair few showers as well. For many, it's actually going to be a slightly chillier night than last night, more widely seeing temperatures dropping into single figures, could get close to freezing in some sheltered spots of Scotland. As we go through tomorrow then, quite cloudy, wet at times across the southern third of the UK, more occasional rain pushing in from the west and southwest. Further north, similar to today really, so there will be some sunny spells around, but also quite a few showers. These heaviest, most frequent across western parts of Scotland. Again, a north-south split when it comes to temperatures, cooler in the north, relatively mild further south. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M90 northbound at Junction 8 is closed due to roadworks. Follow the diversion and expect longer travel durations. A speed limit of 30 miles per hour is enforced on the A55 at Britannia Bridge. In Bedfordshire, a collision on the M1 northbound between Junction 11A and Junction 12 closes 3 lanes, causing 50-minute delays. On the M23 southbound, a broken-down vehicle between Junction 8 and Junction 9 has closed 1 lane. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway services are substituted by buses between Cleethorpes and Barton-on-Humber. Merseyrail is disrupted between Moorfields and Headbolt Lane. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Small boat migrants will be moved from hotels to former army barracks.
The government makes this announcement in an effort to find a cheaper, more appropriate solution to accommodate those who have crossed the Channel.
Well, under the plans, the first 900 people will be moved to 2 barracks, one in Inverness and one in East Sussex by the end of November.
Local opposition mounting, with residents expressing concern over consultation, infrastructure and the suitability of these sites. If you've got a view, get in touch.
Well, these are plans used by previous governments only to be challenged by human rights lawyers. So, will it be scuppered before it's even started?
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew?
So there it is, we all hear him. The King is heckled by a protester over what he knew or didn't know about the relationship between Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. And I mean, you could imagine the King just stopping there and having a conversation with that guy and telling him everything, couldn't you? Not. Anyway, all of this comes as it's reported Buckingham Palace is in talks to find Sarah Ferguson a new home.
Prison governors accuse the government of pantomime politics over the mistaken release of a migrant sex offender, Hadush Kabatu, adding the new checklist announced by David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, just won't cut it.
Reform UK promised deep cuts to the civil service and a Whitehall cull. We'll be joined by Reform MP Danny Krueger. What time is he coming in? Nobody. 8 o'clock, after 8 o'clock this morning.
British tourists are locked down in hotels in Jamaica as Hurricane Melissa becomes the strongest storm on the planet and edges towards the Caribbean island. It's expected to make landfall in just a matter of hours.
Big one about small ones. Shrinkflation, piling pressure on household grocery budgets, coffee, toothpaste, even Gaviscon dwindling in size.
In sport this morning, well, there's no love lost between Celtic and Brendan Rodgers as he resigns. Sheffield Wednesday could be deducted more points after going into receivership. And after beating Manchester United, Grimsby Town attempt another giant killing in the Carabao Cup tonight.
There's some sunshine, but also a bit of rain around today. Stick around to find out which you're going to see more of.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning, wherever you're watching or listening. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Tis the season. You might be thinking about pantomime, going to the pantomime over Christmas. Do you like to go?
Yes, but I have this thing, Paul, about pantomimes. They shouldn't be longer than a football match.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Off an hour, 45 minutes each half.
Yeah.
90 minutes total.
I used to go to the Palladium one in the 70s. They used to have Cliff Richard, I think Tommy Steele was it?
Cilla Black.
Yeah, all those used to have big.
Yeah.
All the big stars used to be.
That would be an event and a half, and they televised those as well.
They did. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Well, this year could look a little bit different because the former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn is going to appear in a panto.
No.
I'm not joking.
What? Your political career, it's behind you!
What's going to happen there?
You may think his career is over, but oh no, it isn't. He's going to star in Wicked Witches at Islington's Pleasance Theatre. He's going to be the Wizard of Oz.
You wonder sometimes about people, don't you? Really?
I know
It's only an on-screen cameo, so you know when the curtain comes back and
not going to be every night.
Wizard of Oz is there, so he won't be there every night. But it's an on-screen cameo. So there you go.
Well, I had one of those. I was the mirror on the wall.
You were you really?
Yeah.
Where?
But in Belfast at the Grand Opera House.
That's a great
But I didn't. I mean, the good thing was you were recorded, so you were recording.
So what did you do? What did you do?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
Yeah, but that's what they'd say to you, right?
Yeah.
So what would you then say?
I'd say, 'tis Snow White who has the fairest of them all, whatever.
Did you have, like, a crazy beard and stuff, or...?
I can't remember. No? I suppose they dolled me up in some way, but there's a lot of mist and smoke involved.
Did they pay you per show, though, even though you were recorded?
I can't go into those sort of details.
OK.
It was quite a good deal.
OK, well, I'm glad to hear
that. It was the easiest money. I mean, to be at home enjoying Christmas and earning money at the same time was
That's great. A lot of money. They make a lot of money because they would have a lot of, well, say, Hollywood stars, like...
Yeah.
People
so you could give Jeremy Corbyn some tips.
I doubt that.
Ahead of his cameo. So there you go, that's what he's going to be up to. Following in the footsteps of Anne Widdecombe and Michael Portillo of this parish, as well as you.
Oh, he's done it as well, has he?
I was a merman with Anne Widdecombe.
It's all coming out now.
Yeah.
When?
With it was a TV programme we did, but we both had fishtails. She was a mermaid and I was a merman. Yeah.
What was that for?
It was for a TV programme for Channel 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was this one of the highlights of your career, this one?
One
or
of
was
the big
this
highlights.
One,
I must bring you pictures in.
I would very much like to see that.
See that, yeah.
How funny. And then we're interviewing her yesterday about prison reform.
Yeah, do you think I wasn't thinking that? How slippery she was at the time? Nothing's changed. Thank you very much indeed. Top stories this morning. Right, there's thousands of these boat migrants are going to be moved. They're going out of the hotels, right? And then they're going to an army barracks, and it could be near you? That is the question. Fraser Myers joins us now in the studio to talk about this. Fraser, what do you make of this? Because, it's as if this is the panacea, the cure-all. Oh, this is fine, we'll just find an army camp, an ex-army camp for them, whatever. They've tried this before, it didn't work before.
Yeah, it feels like it's a sort of sticking plaster and just ignoring the much larger problem, that the fact that there is this small boats crisis in the first place. I mean, we're talking at the moment just about 900 asylum seekers, moving them from hotels into army bases. There are 30,000 migrants currently in hotels, asylum seekers. There are 100,000 people still being processed, in the whole system. It's so paltry that it's not going to make any difference. And a lot of people at home will be thinking, well, why are these people here in the first place, let alone why do we have to accommodate them? So I think it just completely, again, ignores the bigger underlying issues.
We're talking about the Cameron Barracks in Inverness and Crowborough Army Training Camp in East Sussex. I mean, both of those places are rural, leafy, beautiful parts of the world. The community's not going to like this. No,
I don't think so. And, having, for instance, if you put some asylum seekers in a big city, for instance, they can be absorbed in quite easily. They're not going to stand out. There's work there. There's things that they can be doing. Whereas if you put people in somewhere rural, it just invites trouble. They're going to stick out like sore thumbs. They're going to get themselves into...
They're going to be different.
Yeah. And unfortunately, as we've seen, a lot of people who are coming over on the Channel are not necessarily fleeing oppression and persecution. They're often fleeing criminal records. And this has been proven time and time again. So it poses a real risk to these communities as well. I don't think that people would be wrong to object to the presence of large numbers of unvetted men in their local community.
And it's not necessarily going to be cheaper, is it, Fraser? I mean, when we're talking about making these military sites suitable, that's not going to be cheap.
Yeah, that's right, because, there's a good reason why, for instance, many of these sites, well, really, their intention is to house soldiers, and there's probably a reason why a lot of these places aren't doing that. Many of them will need a lot of works and upgrades that will cost the taxpayer a lot of money in order to make them suitable. And we've had, in previous instances, where army barracks have been used, most notoriously at Marston, where there was horrendous overcrowding, leading to, really dangerous conditions for the migrants, leading to outbreaks of disease. That, of course, led to all kinds of lawsuits, which themselves cost lots of money. So whether this will work or not, it just feels like, again, like it's a bit of a publicity stunt. It's not really solving the underlying issue at all. Yeah, and Labour have changed their tune on this as well, haven't they? Because they were previously opposed to the practice of using military bases. I think that they basically opposed just about anything other than, I think, putting up migrants in five-star hotels or something before they came into government. I mean, most famously, they opposed and scrapped the Rwanda plan as soon as they got in. Now there are murmurs in Whitehall that there might be some regret about that, because as people have seen, the number of arrivals has gone up. It's reaching record levels under this government. OK, Fraser Myers, thank you very much indeed. Thanks.
Thanks, Fraser. You're being warned that shrinkflation is hitting your household budget hard. Everyday items, we're talking crisps, we're talking chocolates, we're talking coffee, we're talking toothpaste. We are talking everything, OK? They are getting smaller and smaller, and it is ridiculous. I mean, the big tubs of chocolate for Christmas...
Well, they're not big anymore, are they?
They're not big anymore. They're in those plastic things, and they're half the size that they used to be. And it's just ridiculous, which the consumer group says some supermarket products have shrunk by as much as half, right? Prices, though, this is the thing that I point out all the time. The prices don't change, so somebody's making money, and cheaper ingredients are often being used. This is happening in chocolate, where because we've got all these American companies owning our chocolate companies now, they can stick all sorts of gunk in, and our chocolate will change taste, really.
Yeah, because we were talking about that last week, weren't we? The club biscuits. There's such a little percentage now of chocolate in it, you can't even call it a chocolate bar. It's chocolate flavoured. There's so little cocoa. Anyway, of course, this all comes as families are facing growing pressure on food bills heading into the festive season.
Ho, ho, ho. Here's consumer expert Greg Marsh on all of this. I find all of this quite depressing, Greg.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And and it sort of feels like it's another year, another shrinkflation story. But, over the last 4 years, just to put this in context, the cost of things in this country has gone up by 24%. That's nearly a quarter. So simply to stand still, buy the same things in the supermarket every week, have the same quality of life, buy the same petrol at the pump, right? Taken together, the cost of living has gone up by 24% over the last 4 years. So that's what the cost of living crisis means. And you see it in shrinkflation because manufacturers are trying to keep the prices at the tills the same. But of course, the only way they can do that is either by making no money at all or by cutting the size of the
They're not trying to keep the prices at the till the same. What they're trying to do is keep their profit margins the same, if not bigger. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. I mean, what they're trying to do is make sure they're still making money as much as they can, while pretending to us that, we're getting the same value for money as we were, and we're not.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're talking about the impact on households there with all the bills that we're facing. But shrinkflation is particularly frustrating because there's no escaping it. These are everyday items. This is food.
Every item, every day.
Every item, every day that we need to live.
It's chocolate, it's cooking oil. Of course it is. That's the nature of the cost of living crisis. And I think if we can kind of go on the litany of disappointing and bad news, there might be a little bit of good news coming in the budget. I wouldn't bet on it. It's just possible we might see the cost of energy come down a tiny bit, maybe a 5% reduction. If VAT on consumer energy bills is cut. But on the other hand, energy bills are rising. So even if we get a 5% cut in the cost of VAT, it's still not clear that actually the cost of something we all have to buy, things we have to buy, is necessarily going to decrease. So across the board, I think we've talked about the cost of living crisis as being something that just doesn't go away. Well, here it is. It's just not going away. Inflation is at 3.8%. It's likely to remain above 3% through to the rest of this year. And not only does that mean the cost of everything is going up, but because of stealth taxation, it also means that our tax bills are going up. So we even have less money at the end of the month because the amount of tax we're paying is increasing.
Greg, there's no end to it. There's no end to it. I was looking at my bills today, and I saw a water bill. And being from Northern Ireland, we don't get water bills, right? So we've never had to pay this. We will pay them because of the state of the system and whatever now. But how come that used to be a state responsibility? What does the state do for us outside the NHS? What do they do for us? Because I can't see what it is.
Well, one thing they're definitely going to do to us is charge us more. So come the budget next month, on top of all the cost of living crisis, we've also got the reality of almost certainly higher taxes. And that could come a number of ways. It could be an increase in income tax, despite what we were promised. It could be an increase in new kinds of taxation, possibly an increase in council tax, especially with larger homes. And it will probably be an increase in stealth taxation. So across the board, you've got rises in taxation, the rising cost of life, and not necessarily the rising cost of income, especially for those on fixed incomes that we have until now taken for granted the triple lot. Much talk that might be cancelled. So I think there's a lot of reason to be anxious as we go in the run up to Christmas. And I wish I had some good advice or some silver lining, but it's a really hard problem.
It's a very depressing picture you're painting.
Well, I hope it doesn't give you indigestion because Gaviscon's shrunk as well. So don't worry about that. Greg, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for all your bad news this morning. Appreciate it.
Some of this is truly shocking. I mean, you mentioned Gaviscon there. So it's shrunk by 100 mil, but it's risen by 20% in price. 14 quid. Mm-hmm. And Scottish oats in Sainsbury's gone from 1 kg to 500 grams, and the price has doubled. Mm-hmm. Shocking, isn't it? I'm just going to show you these live pictures of President Trump, who's addressing crowds of military personnel at a naval base in Japan. He's there for 2 days. He was visiting the Emperor yesterday and had a meeting with the Japanese Prime Minister there.
And a very special hello to the greatest sailors anywhere on the seas, the incredible men and women of the United States Navy. Very special people. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Great honor to be here. But I'm thrilled to be here among thousands of proud American patriots aboard the 100,000 tons, that's a lot of tonnage, forward deployed symbol of American might, power, and prestige, the legendary USS George Washington. This is some ship. They don't make them this way anymore, but we're not supposed to say that, but they really don't. This is great stuff. This is really an incredible GW, they call it GW, right? And we've come this afternoon to celebrate the strength and the skill and service of everyone on this ship. So we're going to all relax. We're going to have a good time. We're not going anywhere, you know. If you go back to Washington, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. But I want to just tell you that you are special people, and we're going to have a little fun. And I'm going to tell you how great our country is and how well we're doing, because a year and a half ago, we had a different country than we do right now. Now we're the most respected country in the world. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And it hasn't taken too long, but I had no doubt. I just didn't know we were going to do it this fast. We've done it fast because of people like you. So I want to thank you very much. And I want to recognize a man that you all know well, and he's a tough cookie. He was formerly our Secretary of Defense, but now he is proudly known as our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. And, you know, I don't say this.
That's President Trump there addressing US military personnel at a base in Japan. He's in the country for the next few days. He met the Emperor over the weekend, met the new Japanese Prime Minister yesterday, signing a new rare earth deal with them. So it's been a productive trip. He seems to have enjoyed himself.
Well, he says it doesn't make it so. He says America's the most respected country in the world. Be interested in your views. Let us reflect those for you this morning. Let us reflect on the weather situation. It is a cold day. Here's Alex Burkle.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, things are going to be a bit mixed through today. There will be quite a bit of sunshine on offer, but also some rain at times too. A bit of a murky, drizzly start across some southern counties, and whilst a lot of this rain is going to clear away, some far south-southwestern parts will stay quite grey, and there could be a bit more drizzly rain to push its way in. Otherwise, we're looking at sunny spells for many of us, but also quite a few showers, these mainly pushing their way in across parts of Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, some of them feeding into other areas too. Temperatures are going to be around or a little bit below average for some, especially towards the north, further south, nearer normal with highs of around 15, possibly even 16 Celsius. As we go into this evening, we're going to stick with the showery theme across western parts of Scotland in particular. Some of them could be quite heavy. Further east, a little bit cloudier across some parts of Aberdeenshire and towards the far northeast of Scotland, with a few bits of rain here as well. More showers to come through this evening across parts of Northern Ireland. Plenty of showers feeding into northwest England and North Wales. Elsewhere across many parts of England and Wales, ending the day largely fine, albeit cloud and rain across the far southwest will push its way northeastwards as we go through the start of the night and becoming a bit more widespread as we go overnight as well. So central counties of England and Wales likely to be pretty cloudy and pretty wet through the early hours of tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, some clear spells here and there, yes, but also a fair few showers as well. For many, it's actually going to be a slightly chillier night than last night, more widely seeing temperatures dropping into single figures. Could get close to freezing in some sheltered spots of Scotland. As we go through tomorrow then, quite cloudy, wet at times across the southern third of the UK, more rain pushing in from the west and southwest. Further north, similar to today really, so there will be some sunny spells around, but also quite a few showers, these heaviest, most frequent across western parts of Scotland. Again, a north-south split when it comes to temperatures, cooler in the north, relatively mild further south. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, MPs are calling for stronger controls on social media. But is that a curb on free speech? We're going to be debating just that next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, more regulation for social media platforms under the Online Safety Act has been proposed to put an end to abuse and intimidation, OK? And that's going to be put to Parliament.
Yes, it aims to explore how you can make it more commonplace. Well, this morning we're going to be debating this with Professor Melanie Garson and Connie Shaw from the Free Speech Union. Do we need stronger controls on social media, or is it a curb to free speech? Connie, I know you're going to have a view on this.
Well, I think considering the failures of the Online Safety Act that we were warning about for a very long time, we should be quite sceptical of any proposed further measures to, in the report's own words, to moderate political discourse. It says the onus is on us all to moderate to moderate political discourse. And of course, we've already seen how the Online Safety Act has censored MP speeches. Katie Lamb's speech about grooming gangs was censored. A thread about Richard the Lionheart and historical events censored. A video of an arrest in Leeds censored, because online platforms, because they need to comply with the laws or else they'll be fined a significant amount of money, they are taking every precaution they can to do that. And I'm not sure how they're going to define intimidation and harassment. It's so subjective. And I think one of the most concerning things about this report is the proposal that the characteristic of sex will be added to a protected characteristic that will fall within our hate speech laws. We've already seen how the three existing ones, race, religion and sexual orientations, have been weaponised by the police. Most recently, Graham Linehan, arrested on the basis of stirring up hatred on the basis of sexual orientation, when he didn't say anything in those three notorious tweets.
I just want to bring, Connie, I want to bring Melanie in here because, Melanie, you may argue that we make these things overcomplicated and, you know, right is right and wrong is wrong and it's easy to see the difference.
I think, well, first of all, it doesn't always mean that everything is being censored. I think what is asked by the regulator and what's asked in these kind of piece of legislation is that the platforms are more transparent and more consistent with what their own policies are, and the lines that those policies come into regulation of what would be normal standards of speech. And just because it's happening online doesn't mean the same speech that would not be allowed in person should be allowed in the frame. And also to think about, we've got a different situation in how that information goes viral to the point how it becomes quickly accessible, and to begin to think about mechanisms of also how you can slow that down, how you can put the agency back into the hands of people rather than bots, rather than electronic sort of impetus behind it, so that people actually also have greater controls over the information they're receiving. So it's not just about flat bans, and it is a work in progress. This is a new technology. These are new legislations. It takes time to work that out. It's, you know, until the perfect solution comes in place.
Connie, do we just need to give it a bit of time?
Well, we gave the Online Safety Act a bit of time, and we've already seen how disastrous that was. I think we need to be very, very sceptical and cautious about further measures to moderate political discourse. That is what the report says. I don't think it's going to build any more public trust at a time of deep distrust in the state and the government. I don't think it's going to build any more public trust by protecting MPs from intimidation and harassment. I get that happens, but at the same time, if you're going to be an MP, you've got to have thick skin. I think we should be taking actual threats very seriously and not really monitoring much else. I don't think we should be giving the state powerful measures.
But Connie, you talk about having thick skin enough to deflect a bullet or a knife or whatever it is, and that's the real worry. That's the real issue when it comes to MPs.
Tweets. We're talking about online discourse. There are serious threats against MPs, and they should be investigated. What we're talking about here in this report is suggesting bringing the characteristic of sex into our hate laws to protect female MPs. Now, that is concerning because I think it can have the potential to limit people's discussion about the differences between men and women. We've seen the way that the current protected characteristics under our speech laws, under our hate speech laws, suppress conversation around mainstream conservative views. I think that it could be used by some MPs to argue that people are being discriminatory on the basis of their sex by talking about, for example, the different opinions about the roles of men and women, but which people should be able to discuss.
Ladies, we've got to leave it there. Right, sorry, last word there, Melanie.
I think we still have to remember that women and girls are often primary suffering from the type of technology that is emerging, things like we're seeing from Sora 2, from denudifying apps, and that as used for harassment and intimidation, that disproportionately affects female politicians. And we've seen the derailing of elections in Romania.
We already have laws against that sort of
thing. Okay, guys, got to leave it there. Thank you both very, very much indeed for highlighting that. Folks at home watching, listening, have your say. Let us know what you think. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Already lots of you getting in touch. Gary says, bang on, Connie. Ronnie says, if you think back before social media that the politicians were getting away with things, we were none the wiser. And Vernon says, words don't hurt. So keep those views coming in. gbnews.com/you'll say.
So what are you like online? I mean, you sort of I just sort of get immune to it now. You know, people who are just nice and friendly and just want to converse with you, which is all I want to do. And then you get people who hate you, and want to wake up this morning and say, I hate Eamonn Holmes. I'm going to tell him so. There you go.
I think they've got something wrong with them if they want to wake up and have a go at people. It's very sad. You've got to feel sorry for them. got to feel very
How could you
sorry
have
for
something
them.
wrong with me? How could you do that? You know, how could you even think that way? But you've got a pervert, at least one, who gets in touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
A few of those, I think it's par for the cause.
Besotted with you.
Yeah, it's a bit,
There we
much,
go.
but yeah.
Let us know your views. 7:30 is the time, and time is ticking on your chance to win the biggest prize of the year in our current Great British giveaway. Have a go.
There's just 3 days to see how you can win big, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. The coming year could be your best yet, but hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
I think it's really good that we do that, because we make a difference to your life, and we reflect in the whole idea of cost of living, which, whether you're aware of it or not, it is really squeezing you. And I just honestly think, I look and I think, how do people afford this? Day to day, everything, whether it's a parking fine, whether it's a restaurant bill, whether it's takeaway, whether it's supermarket stuff, whatever.
Petrol pump.
Everything. We are being, I know the word is squeezed, yes, we're being squeezed. And then, you know, taxes. I mean, is there no end to blooming taxes? You know,
Well, now there's talk of a mansion tax. Have you seen this?
Oh, but you know, what is a mansion? You know, be some bungalow somewhere they'll call a mansion.
I mean, they're talking about anything over £2 million, but in the south of the country, you know, there's people who bought very well.
Do you not think you have to work really hard to pay £2 million off? If you aspire to £2 million, you buy something £2 million, you have to work harder to maintain that. Why are you hated for owning a £2 million property?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Older people could have just bought property very well, you know, many, many years ago, and it's just the passage of time that's means
yeah, well, they didn't buy it so it'd be worth £2 million, did they?
No.
They just bought it to live in.
They just bought a home.
And now it's going to go against them. And the other thing, caring, paying for caring, hospital costs, medication, all sorts of things as you get older and older. This costs. It really does cost. And then, of course, if it doesn't cost you, it costs everybody else, because it's the state, and everybody thinks the NHS has limited funds. What are you seeing there?
Paul's been in touch saying, you know, we're talking about cost of living crisis, but if you go to any retail park or any cafe or coffee shop at the weekend, plenty of people. I wonder where they get their money from.
This is true, Paul. I agree, because there's a coffee £8 or something, isn't it? I don't drink coffee.
Yeah, about £4. Yeah, for coffee.
£4?
Yeah, so if me and you went out for coffee, it'd be at least a tenner.
At least a tenner.
Before we have a slice of cake.
People might do that twice a day, or, you know, 5 times or 7 times a week, and then, as you say, a slice of cake or whatever.
And if you go out for a sandwich, I mean, that's at least £5 now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're looking at least £10 for a lunch. I don't know how people do it. But do you know what? I have a theory with the coffees. People can't afford the really expensive holidays or the really expensive handbags. So these are the small little joys that they can get.
Or it's addiction.
Or it's an addiction.
They're addicted to the caffeine.
Could
well be.
You can manage a £4 coffee.
I'm addicted to Paul Coyte. He's got the sport next.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A9000 Forth Road Bridge, drivers should exercise caution due to high winds. The M4 eastbound between Junction 28 Tredegar Park and Junction 24 Coldra is congested. In Bedfordshire, there's a collision on the M1 northbound between Junction 11A and 12. 3 out of 4 lanes are closed, causing hour-long delays. Normal traffic conditions are expected between 1 and 1:15 this afternoon. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway advises buses replace trains between Cleethorpes and Barton on Humber, and Merseyrail reports disruptions between Moorfields and Headbolt Lane. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
the People's Channel?
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Fireworks at Glasgow Celtic. Paul Coyte will put you in the picture.
Well, there are fireworks at Glasgow Celtic, correct, but there's more, there's bigger news which is broken. A picture of 2 fish together we have, which has been taken the whole angling world by storm. There we are. You mentioned that, didn't you? There we are.
That's me.
That's you.
All right.
You and Anne Widdecombe as Mermaid and Merman.
I'm quite a slim fish, aren't I?
You are, well, those tails are always very slimming, though, aren't they?
Why were you wearing tails? Do we know why?
It was... I can't remember. Why you keep asking me questions?
Did you have zips? How did it do up? Did it have a belt on? Did it zip up the side? How do you do that thing?
Well, the real scales. The scales.
Really?
We got into a pool or a pond and had to swim.
Oh, dear.
But then I can't swim, so I'm fibbing to you. No, well, I'm caressing Anne's fins there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got her fins up on your lap.
Yeah.
It's a very cosy picture. You and Anne.
You get your hands off her fins.
Oh, you're so jealous, Ellie. So jealous. Right, well, there we go.
Right, there we are.
So that's your breaking news.
That's the breaking news, right?
We've got context to that picture, which I just love.
Yes, which was?
We were in fins. We don't know why, but we were.
Yeah, it's good enough for me.
As you do.
As you do.
Brendan Rodgers. Well, from Deepwater, can we move on to that?
Yeah, we can.
Announced resignation last night
That was a nice segue.
the manager, thank you so much, of Celtic. It's interesting because no manager resigns. This is what I said. It's always got to be something very bad, and the reason you've got to walk away, because managers don't resign because they get huge payoffs when they get sacked.
But look, we know a manager who's free at the minute and has been at Celtic and was popular at Celtic before.
Yes.
And just want to know from Celtic supporters or football fans, Ange Postecoglou, would you have him back? He doesn't need the money. He's got enough payoffs, but he is free and available.
Exactly. And I just wonder, because they went back twice with Brendan Rodgers. They did it with Neil Lennon, so maybe they'll go back again. I just wonder whether...
And they've done it with Martin O'Neill.
Yes, of course. And now Martin O'Neill has now come back in as interim manager.
Do you know that Martin and I went to school together?
Yes, I do.
Because
you mention it every time I say Martin O'Neill. But a few years apart, though. He was, what, the 5th year when you were in the 1st year?
Yeah. But
Did you know him at school?
Did I what?
Did you know him at school?
Yeah, everybody knew him and his
was
brother.
he very popular?
Well, I mean, he was top man, you know. But he won the All-Ireland trophy for St Malachy's College.
Did he know you when you were at school?
No, I wouldn't think so. No.
Aww.
OK, go and spoil it all. Right?
No, just interested. No, you're supposed to say yes.
He's keeping you humble there.
Because I wonder if you were a young, shy fella. You know, a young boy moved into school. He was the top guy.
He was the top guy, there's no doubt. And 10% of us were expected to go and study for the priesthood.
Right.
And you were tempted?
No, I look at Martin and I think he'd have made a good priest.
He was tempted.
Make a good priest.
He was tempted. That's the reason he didn't become a priest. So anyway, back to Celtic. It was complete. So. Listen, there were signings. Brendan Rodgers complained signings were forced on him, and there was no extension that was offered. And then you've got the situation where we have the director that's come back, who's the major shareholder, who has then said, "There's no way you're going to race." Oh, he's there. Am I confusing things?
No.
You're still with me.
No different.
This
than
is
usual.
Dermot Desmond. Let's see Dermot Desmond
with his big moustache.
Dermot with a big moustache, who's the major shareholder, released a statement saying when we brought Brendan Rodgers back to Celtic, it was done with complete trust and belief in his ability to lead the club into a new era of sustained success. Unfortunately, his conduct and communication in recent months have not reflected that trust.
Well, there's all these breakdowns between, who they buy, how much they spend, and how they agree with the manager and whatever it is. But there we go. That's the end of an era. End of an era there.
Well, but then again, he's been manager twice. We talked about Darren Ferguson, didn't we, at Peterborough United yesterday? 4 times. So never say never.
The door may still be open.
The door in all manager jobs is always
Carabao Cup tonight. Who's playing?
Right, Carabao Cup tonight. We do have Grimsby Town against Brentford.
It's going really well.
It's the fishtail that's thrown me.
Yeah.
Grimsby against Brentford. Grimsby, who put at Manchester United, we won't mention that. Wickham against Fulham. Wrexham against Cardiff.
Martin O'Neill team. Wickham used to manage them.
Absolutely.
So we did.
And
Wrexham against Cardiff.
Everything you need to know about Martin O'Neill.
Final thing, famous birthdays, and make it quick.
OK, I was quick.
Always cracking the whip today.
OK, I know. Right, who we got here? First one, Sunny Cartel. We got Sunny, who's a fine tennis player, won her first title this year. First WTA title. How old is Sunny Cartel?
18.
She's 25.
She's 24. Next one is Lucy Bronze.
She's nice.
Chelsea, England, fullback.
28.
28 for Lucy Bronze.
25.
34. Not doing very well. Not
34.
She looks well.
34, but she's still playing.
Oh, yeah, we're coming to an end, though, 34.
OK.
Next one, please. That's Alan Smith. You remember Alan Smith?
Yeah,
Played at Manchester United.
Played for Leeds, Man U.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you
get this right. He had a very bad leg break, I think.
Did?
Yeah.
Come on, then. How old is he?
He's got to be 44.
Close.
47.
5.
Oh.
One more. Oh, no, we got 2 more. Bernie Eccleston.
Oh, Bernie.
Bernie Eccleston.
82.
I thought Bernie's dead.
No, Bernie's still.
No.
Do you know what?
Don't wish that
worried
on
the
him.
hell out of me when you said that. In fact,
82.
82.
He's 90.
He's 95.
95.
95.
Incredible. Well done, Bernie.
Bernie. Last one. That's the wrong one. Oh, this is
great.
That's not the one we're looking for. But anyway, it was going to be Bruce Jenner, who then became Caitlyn Jenner, who won.
Jenner.
There's as Bruce in 1976 Olympics.
72.
Decathlon winner, 72.
Oh, look at the time. We'll have no time for papers. Come on. 80.
Go on, you guess. 76 is the answer.
76. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Back with the newspapers right after this. Please don't go away.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Many parts of southern Europe are going to have a fine day tomorrow, albeit there are a few showers here and there. And actually across parts of Portugal and Spain, heavy thundery rain pushing through here. There's the potential for 50 to 100 millimetres of rain in just a day or so, which is around the average for October. But further east, like I said, a lot of dry weather to be had. But worth noting, some showery rain pushing its way eastwards across parts of Cyprus, though this doesn't look especially heavy. More fine weather for most as we go through the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Prince William has launched this new national suicide prevention campaign around the country, £1 million of funding, helping organisations in each country within the United Kingdom. In order to launch it, he spoke to one mother with a very powerful story and actually got the most emotional I've ever seen him. So let's take a look at that clip, if we can.
Just like to sit him down like this and just say, why didn't you come to me? Because he's missed out on just so much joy and we would have been okay. You okay?
I'm sorry, it's hard to ask you questions.
And
I know.
Hard, and you've experienced loss yourself.
So that lady, Rianne there, her 1-year-old son died of pneumonia. And 5 days later, her husband, the son's father, took his own life. He killed himself. And what Rianne was telling the prince there was why she didn't have any signs. Why didn't you talk to me about this? Why didn't you say that you were struggling? And that's why the prince got so emotional. Of course, he's campaigned a lot for mental health provision and also to break down the stigmas when it comes to male mental health. And of course, with his own personal story of losing his mother so young, I think it just hit William quite hard.
Oh, he's so lovely, isn't he? What a beautiful man.
So often in these conversations, we talk about young people, we talk about schoolgirls' mental health. Very, very important, of course. But we aren't seeing an epidemic of suicide there. We're seeing an epidemic of suicide amongst men in their 30s and their 40s.
Yeah.
This is a specifically male issue for people that, aren't super young or super old. This is a specific problem for a specific demographic that doesn't often get spoken about.
The People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News. Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, joining us now to go through the newspapers, the stories making the news today, Scarlett Maguire and David Wooding. Very nice to see you both. Let's talk about what makes a mansion. David, what do you think makes a mansion? When is a house a mansion?
Well, it's all relative to the house you live in. If you live in a tiny little box, then, a nice semi is a mansion to you. And according to this mansion tax, which Rachel Reeves is considering, it's any house that's over £2 million.
And would that mean then when you came to sell the house, you pay a bigger tax, or would you be taxed for living in it?
You'd be taxed for living in it. So it would be, it would, according to the leaks, if you like, anything over £2 million, you would be taxed at 1% on the excess of £2 million. So if you had a house worth £3 million, you'd have to pay £10,000 in mansion tax.
I think one of the things we have to realise is we do at the moment, that's what council tax is you pay for the sort of house you live in. And the problem with council tax is the higher, the more your house is worth, the less you pay compared to somebody who there's a ceiling, right? So actually, in somewhere like London, where there are £2 million pound houses, there aren't that many £2 million pound houses outside London, or certainly outside the southeast. People are living in houses that are worth an awful lot of money and actually not paying compared to their not neighbours, but people in much smaller places in flats. And so there's been an idea for decades to sort out council tax. And in the last Labour government, they tried it. And I remember story after story in the Daily Mail saying, oh, they're going to tax you on your garden, they're going to tax you on this. But actually, if I lived you know, I live in a family home that most of my family have now left. But actually, if I lived in a much smaller house, I'd be quite cross that I was paying an awful lot more money than the people up the road.
But I mean, property experts are saying that this would mean that Britain would have one of the highest tax regimes in the world for property, and there'd just be a stampede of people leaving the country.
Yeah, I mean,
these are wealth creators.
I think this is what we call a kite, right? Is you fly the kite and you sort of see what the reaction is, and then you see what you're actually going to do about it.
I mean, the Housing Secretary refused to rule it out yesterday 4 times.
No, but what is the absolute? What I'm saying is, I think something will happen, but I don't think it'll probably be as much as 1%.
What was the tax that Maggie tried to introduce?
The poll tax.
Poll tax.
So what was the difference? How would
the poll tax was changing the rates system so that when you paid rates to your council, she wanted to bring in a poll tax so that everybody living in a house paid.
Yeah.
So everybody had to pay, rather than say that a family of 6 with 3 adults among them, only one bill. She wanted to make it 3 bills for the 3 adults,
right?
Which was a fairer tax, but it just brought her down in one. In this one, she wants to hit people with big houses, and of course what will happen then is there's already panic. There's talk of the sword of Damocles hanging over the housing market. Panic. So if it stagnates the top end of the market, it will hit those at the bottom end, and so it will really destroy the housing market.
David, on happier news, front page of the Daily Telegraph today, this is great, isn't it? Men with suspected prostate cancer will be able to get a diagnosis on the NHS within 1 day.
Yes, this is artificial intelligence, good use of artificial intelligence.
Very welcome.
So the MRI scans will be able to, using AI tools, will be able to give you a result of of a test within 24 hours. And they're trying to roll this one out. They're putting it on a trial in a few hospitals. And of course, this is the biggest killer of men. 67.
And early detection is key.
Yeah.
But as in all cancers.
Absolutely.
And they're doing with this what they've done with breast cancer. They've raising awareness, making it a priority, and I think this is a great breakthrough.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's appalling that anybody dies of any man dies of prostate cancer anymore, because actually it's a treatable disease and it can be over. And you're right. All we need more men to take it seriously and go to the doctor and get the test. That is always one of the problems. Is men go, I don't really. And they've got to go. They've got to go, and they've got to understand that the treatment, actually, the earlier you go, the milder the treatment is.
Scarlett, we've just got time to talk about the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire, which the King visited yesterday to unveil and lay flowers, actually, at this memorial for LGBT veterans.
Look, this is really, really important. I mean, what it's saying is there were an awful lot of gay and lesbians who fought in the wars, fought for their country, and until quite recently...
25 years ago, Scarlett.
I know.
This is so recent. It's so...
and they were thrown out of the services if it was discovered. And there was a wonderful woman who met the King, who talked about how she was thrown out and how wonderful it was that she served her original boss. Obviously, was Queen Elizabeth. She served the Queen, and now the King is saying it's good to have you. And it's really, really important. And it's fantastic that Charles is saying, you know, we're all part of the same thing. All of you fought in the World Wars. They fought for this country, and it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're gay or you're straight. And it's great. And I think it's what's so terrible is that all the news is about one heckler who shouted Andrew at Charles when he went to Lichfield Cathedral, whereas this story is really important, and it's about the King making a difference.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Well, it's great. It shows how we're moving, and not only are the general public moving, but the establishment are moving too.
Okay.
Very true.
Thank you very much, the both of you. See you again 40 minutes' time. Here's the weather update.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, things are going to be a bit mixed through today. There will be quite a bit of sunshine on offer, but also some rain at times too. A bit of a murky, drizzly start across some southern counties, and whilst a lot of this rain is going to clear away, some far south-southwestern parts will stay quite grey, and there could be a bit more drizzly rain to push its way in. Otherwise, we're looking at sunny spells for many of us, but also quite a few showers, these mainly pushing their way in across parts of Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, some of them feeding into other areas too. Temperatures are going to be around or a little bit below average for some, especially towards the north, further south, nearer normal with highs of around 15, possibly even 16 Celsius. As we go into this evening, we're going to stick with the showery theme across western parts of Scotland in particular. Some of them could be quite heavy. Further east, a little bit cloudier across some parts of Aberdeenshire and towards the far northeast of Scotland, with a few bits of rain here as well. More showers to come through this evening across parts of Northern Ireland. Plenty of showers feeding into northwest England and North Wales. Elsewhere across many parts of England and Wales, ending the day largely fine, albeit cloud and rain across the far southwest will push its way northeastwards as we go through the start of the night and becoming a bit more widespread as we go overnight as well. So central counties of England and Wales likely to be pretty cloudy and pretty wet through the early hours of tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, some clear spells here and there, yes, but also a fair few showers as well. For many, it's actually going to be a slightly chillier night than last night, more widely seeing temperatures dropping into single figures. Could get close to freezing in some sheltered spots of Scotland. As we go through tomorrow then, quite cloudy, wet at times across the southern third of the UK, more rain pushing in from the west and southwest. Further north, similar to today really, so there will be some sunny spells around, but also quite a few showers, these heaviest, most frequent across western parts of Scotland. Again, a north-south split when it comes to temperatures, cooler in the north, relatively mild further south. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A83 in Tyne Lone is closed, so drivers should consider alternative routes. M4 eastbound has an accident between junctions 24 and 23A. On the M27 westbound in Hampshire, a broken down vehicle is causing a lane closure at junction 9. Normal traffic conditions are expected shortly. The M1 northbound has a collision between junctions 11A and 12, with 3 lanes closed causing an hour's delay. Normal conditions are anticipated by 11:35. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway has buses replacing trains between Cleethorpes and Barton-on-Humber. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community.
So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Very good to have you on board. Thanks for watching. Small boat migrants will be moved from hotels to former army barracks.
Yes, the government makes the announcement in an effort to find a cheaper and more appropriate solution to accommodate for those who cross the channel in dinghies.
Now, under the plans, the first 900 will be moved to 2 barracks, Inverness and East Sussex, before Christmas.
Well, local opposition is already mounting, with residents expressing concern over consultation, infrastructure and the suitability of the sites.
But these are plans used by previous governments. They were challenged by human rights lawyers. Question is, will they be scuppered before they've even started?
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew?
As you can hear, that's the King being heckled by a protester over what he knew about the relationship between Prince Andrew and the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It comes as it's being reported that Buckingham Palace is in talks to find Sarah Ferguson a new home.
And that lone protester has yet again caused Prince Andrew to overshadow the work of the royal family. Meanwhile, negotiations about Royal Lodge intensify.
Prison governors accused the government of pantomime politics over the mistaken release of the migrant last Friday.
Reform UK promised deep cuts to the civil service and a Whitehall cull. We're going to be joined by Reform MP Danny Krueger later in the programme.
British tourists locked down in hotels in Jamaica. Hurricane Melissa has become the strongest storm on the planet as it edges towards the Caribbean island.
And sport this morning with his own love lost now between Celtic and Brendan Rodgers as he resigns. Sheffield Wednesday could be deducted even more points after going into receivership. And after beating Manchester United, Grimsby Town attempt another giant killing in the Carabao Cup. It's Brentford tonight.
There's some sunshine, but also a bit of rain around today. Stick around to find out which you're going to see more of.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for being on board. We're with you until 9:30. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
About Hurricane Melissa. This will be the strongest hurricane to hit Jamaica since record keeping actually began, and we're going back a couple of hundred years on that one. 3 people have already died in Jamaica, and it's possibly the strongest hurricane on record for the island. Warnings of catastrophic and life-threatening conditions.
Yeah, the National Hurricane Centre just released a statement saying that the sustained winds are currently at 175 miles per hour. A Category 5 hurricane is the strongest category, according to them. And Jamaican officials are calling now for people in Jamaica to get to higher ground and take to shelter. See live pictures here. Is the early hours of the morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning in Jamaica right now. We're expecting Melissa to make landfall in the next few hours.
We'll be right across that, and we'll keep you posted. If you've anyone you know who's there, get in touch with us. We'll try and reflect your concerns on the programme. Right, the time 3 minutes past 8. Let's cross over to Westminster. The Shadow Minister for the Cabinet Office, Alex Burghardt, joins us now. Alex, you're going to force a vote in Parliament today on this whole Chinese spy case. Now, if you hadn't been doing that, my friend, it's quite interesting. This would have gone, this would have disappeared, but the Conservatives keeping this very much up front. Why?
Well, because this is one of the most shocking alleged spy cases in recent decades, Eamonn. I mean, we've seen 2 guys arrested for supposedly spying on British members of Parliament. And the government was asked for information that would have allowed the trial to progress, and they refused to give that, and consequently the case collapsed. And this is just absolutely shocking, because the idea that we've sent out a message to spies around the world, it's fine, you can come here, you can spy on Westminster, you can spy on the people who represent British people, it's just terrible. So we've been trying to get the government to explain exactly why it made the decision.
But Alex, they would say they've come clean.
Oh, sorry, I've lost my earpiece statement. Just sorry.
Oh, sorry. They would say, Alex, they've already come clean. You are distinctly saying, no, you have not.
Yeah, well, they absolutely haven't. Firstly, they denied that there was a very important meeting on the 1st of September. We heard that it had happened. The press heard it had happened. We asked the Prime Minister whether it had happened. Initially, he denied it, and then it turned out that it happened after all. And this was where the heads of lots of different government departments, including like the head of MI5, representatives from the Home Office, from the Foreign Office, from the Attorney General's office, got together, and it was clear that it's very clear to everyone that at that meeting, these sort of mega mandarins decided that they weren't going to do what was necessary to allow the trial to progress. Yeah. Today, we are going to force a vote in Parliament to get the minutes of that meeting published so we can understand exactly what was going on under the bonnet. But look, somebody's got to take responsibility for the fact that that these two men, who are alleged to have been spying for China, haven't been put on trial. And ultimately, it's the government that's got to take responsibility for that.
What do you make of the government plans to house asylum seekers in military sites instead of hotels? The Cameron Barracks in Inverness and the Crowborough Army Training Camp in East Sussex. We're talking about almost 10,000 migrants the Home Office wants to place there. Are you supportive of this plan?
This is just a huge admission of failure. The fact is that there shouldn't be a need for any of this, because when we left office, when the Conservatives left office last summer, we had the Rwanda plan in place, and the first thing that Keir Starmer did when he became Prime Minister was scrap it. The first thing he did was scrap a deterrent programme which would have meant that people who crossed the channel illegally, came to our country illegally, their feet wouldn't have touched the ground, they would have been sent to a third country for processing. That would have been a major deterrent to the gangs and to the people crossing. Instead, Labour tore that up. And here's the result. They're having to use army barracks, having to use massive army barracks to house thousands and thousands of people who've come to the country. They've really let us down. And it's time that they admitted their mistake.
RAF Scampton was being used by the Tory government.
That's right. Look, that's why, one of the reasons why we passed the Rwanda plan in the first place, why we had all of those battles with the courts to try and get the Rwanda plan in place, so that we could cut off this sort of terrible trade of people across the channel.
OK, Alex, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for that. Alex is a shadow minister in the Cabinet Office. Thank you very much indeed. With us now in the studio, Andy Preston, political commentator, former mayor of Middlesbrough. What do you think of all of this, Andy?
It's a great move, isn't it? Everybody's said for ages we need to get people out of hotels. It's incredibly expensive, £150, £200 for one night, and you've got 30,000 people in there. It's crazy. However, look, people who love Keir Starmer, who love Labour, are going to praise this and say it's great. His detractors are going to say this is a waste of time. The people in the middle are going to watch and see how it pans out. But the truth is, it's 16 months since they were elected. They knew they were going to win the election for at least 9 months before then. Why has it taken 16 months to get 3% of the people in hotels? Well, they're not there yet, of course. It's a plan for the end of November.
And they've already paid for these hotels. That money's been paid for in advance. These new camps aren't just going to be made out of thin air. They're going to cost big investment too.
Absolutely. And you know what, Eamonn? There are potential trip hazards all the way along, with local objections, all kinds of scandals.
I know Inverness very well. This would change the face, the shape of Inverness. This will not be welcomed by people there.
Yeah, Crowborough, I'm familiar with. I mean, it's a rural, leafy, tiny little town. in East Sussex, and they'll hate this idea.
They will, they will. There isn't an easy answer, Ellie. There isn't something that's going to keep everyone happy. I do think military bases and other patches of government land are the way forward, and I think most people would agree. But this is, I'm afraid to say, too little, too late, and I think it's going to have the government's touch, the opposite of the Midas touch on it, and things are going to go wrong.
I know you're saying that this is the way forward, these army camps. Not disagreeing with you here. I understand exactly what you're saying, but there's a lot of people going to be screaming at their TV sets and their radios this morning saying the way ahead is to stop these people coming into the country in the first place. When are we going to get tough?
That's the answer. And the answer to all of this, to slow the boats down to an absolute trickle, is offshore processing. This is really messing around. It's moving people from one place to another. It may or may not save money. It probably will, but it could lead to other problems that we haven't foreseen yet. The answer is offshore processing, but for some reason, Keir Starmer and Labour won't do it. They've talked about it briefly, then they've gone very quiet. This is the answer. It would slow the crossings down to a trickle, and we all know that.
Could you see people looking back almost fondly to the Rwanda plan and say, well, actually, maybe this could have had legs?
Lots of people, including myself, who were initially very sceptical and critical of the plan, now see it's the humane way forward. It stops the crossings, it'll reduce the trafficking, it will reduce the deaths in the channel, and it will reassure communities. It is the only way to handle this, and for some reason, Labour are scared of it, and I don't know why.
OK. Andy, got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate your thoughts. Thank you.
Now, at 10 minutes past 8, Buckingham Palace is reportedly in talks to find a new home for Sarah Ferguson as discussions continue over Prince Andrew's future at Royal Lodge.
The couple still share the 30-room Windsor residence along with the late Queen's doggies, but according to the Sun newspaper, Prince Andrew gave the King an ultimatum demanding that he should be given Frogmore Cottage for himself and Adelaide Cottage. We use these little terms, these little cottages. These are mansions. These are for Miss Ferguson.
Well, this comes as the King was heckled about his brother's links to Jeffrey Epstein during a visit to Lichfield Cathedral in Staffordshire yesterday.
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew's trials? What do you think? Should the MPs be allowed to debate the royals in the House of Commons?
Well, our royal correspondent Cameron Walker joins us live in the studio now. And Cameron, it is such a shame that Prince Andrew has overshadowed the really important work that the King was doing yesterday.
It is, and it really disappointed, actually, a number of the well-wishers who come out to greet the King. So it was one single lone protester. He wore a big trench coat. He had his hood up, so he didn't want his face to be seen when he started yelling at the King. And the crowd physically pulled him back.
Yeah.
So the security and the police were not involved at all. It was the crowd who were so angry with him, because what happened was, of course, the King didn't want to walk directly past him, and his aides certainly didn't want him to walk directly past the protester. So he went over to the other side of the road, to the rest of the crowd. So those members of the crowd who happened to be stood next to the protester lost out on their chance of seeing King Charles. But of course, that's just one point to make. The second point is what he was shouting, and that was, how much did you know about your brother's links to Jeffrey Epstein and all the rest of it? So it is yet again unfortunate that Prince Andrew has overshadowed, as you say, Ellie, the work of the royal family, and I think it's pretty clear that there is some kind of negotiation going on to move Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson out of Royal Lodge. But Sarah Ferguson, Eamonn, she's effectively a lodger. The King doesn't really have any kind of responsibility or obligation to her, unless, of course, they fear, and this is what's been reported in the Mail this morning, they fear that she could do a spare, if you like, a tell-all memoir. She's already written 2 memoirs before. So does the King want to keep her in favour? Now, obviously, that's speculation, of course, but it's really tricky balance for the King, trying to force,
but
perhaps...
she's never said a bad word about Andrew. I mean, their relationship obviously is very good. There is an understanding between them, so anything she would write would be with the implicit authority of Andrew, would it not?
Well, I think the King's been pretty kind to Sarah Ferguson over the last few years, inviting her to Christmas and all the rest of it. The problem was the email which she had written, the grovelling email she had written to Jeffrey Epstein, having said, of course, that she had nothing else to do with him. And this is why she's got herself in this situation. But, of course, the fact of the matter remains, Royal Lodge, Prince Andrew or Sarah not paying rent, which indirectly affects taxpayers, and they are losing out on the funds they could potentially be making from the rent of Royal Lodge.
OK. Cameron, thank you very much.
Thanks, Cameron.
Now let's get a check on the weather with Alex Burkill.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, things are going to be a bit mixed through today. There will be quite a bit of sunshine on offer, but also some rain at times too. A bit of a murky, drizzly start across some southern counties, and whilst a lot of this rain is going to clear away, some far south-southwestern parts will stay quite grey, and there could be a bit more drizzly rain to push its way in. Otherwise, we're looking at sunny spells for many of us, but also quite a few showers, these mainly pushing their way in across parts of Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, some of them feeding into other areas too. Temperatures are going to be around or a little bit below average for some, especially towards the north, further south, nearer normal, with highs of around 15, possibly even 16 Celsius. As we go into this evening, we're going to stick with the showery theme across western parts of Scotland in particular. Some of them could be quite heavy. Further east, a little bit cloudier across some parts of Aberdeenshire and towards the far northeast of Scotland, with a few bits of rain here as well. More showers to come through this evening across parts of Northern Ireland. Plenty of showers feeding into northwest England and North Wales. Elsewhere across many parts of England and Wales, ending the day largely fine, albeit cloud and rain across the far southwest will push its way northeastwards as we go through the start of the night and becoming a bit more widespread as we go overnight as well. So central counties of England and Wales likely to be pretty cloudy and pretty wet through the early hours of tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, some clear spells here and there, yes, but also a fair few showers as well. For many, it's actually going to be a slightly chillier night than last night, more widely seeing temperatures dropping into single figures, could get close to freezing in some sheltered spots of Scotland. As we go through tomorrow then, quite cloudy, wet at times across the southern third of the UK, more rain pushing in from the west and southwest. Further north, similar to today really, so there will be some sunny spells around, but also quite a few showers, these heaviest, most frequent across western parts of Scotland. Again, a north-south split when it comes to temperatures, cooler in the north, relatively mild further south. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, young people are depending on inheritance in order to get on the property ladder. We're going to be telling you more about that next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and this is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Sumo is a fantastically simple sport to win. There's only really two win conditions. You either drive your opponent out of the doyo, the ring, or you take them to the ground. And when we say take them to the ground, any part of their body other than the soles of their feet which touches the ground, that counts as a loss. Now, how you do this can vary. It varies between wrestlers and their backgrounds and styles. Some will be more focused on the driving and the pushing. Some, particularly with the judo background, more focused on the throws. There is kind of a core of winning techniques, which we call kimarite, and they're kind of standard winning techniques. But realistically, any technique you use to get your opponent either out or down, you'll win the match.
But the two that we're seeing on the screen look actually quite lightweight sumos, because I've seen some really heavy sumos, but with that weight, they are incredibly flexible. Like, the one earlier was doing the box splits. I mean, there he is, look at that. That is not an easy... I'm training to do the box splits, and I can't do that. And look at him, he's going to roll all the way through as well. Rob, they're very fit, aren't they? But these ones look lighter.
So they are incredibly fit athletes, and I think one of the things people forget when they look at sumo or they look at rikishi is that they are athletes, you know, and to a degree we're looking at two sumo wrestlers standing next to each other, and so they look normal size in comparison to each other. In terms of their body fat percentage, is actually very, very low.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Inheritance tax, and it may well affect you. We are telling you that the government has collected £4.5 billion in inheritance tax over the past 6 months alone.
Yeah, it targets 1 in 25 households. Well, in response, many pensioners are hastily selling their homes and downsizing.
OK, all this comes as 1 in 3 young people in the country are basically saying our whole futures depend on inheritance. Well, I got news for you guys. They tax your parents and your benefactors so much they won't have anything to give you anyway. But don't take my word for it. Tax expert and author George Williamson joins us now in the studio. Do you know, I don't like inheritance tax. It's one of those tax I don't like, because it's like you've been taxed on this money anyway, and you're taxed for doing well, you're taxed for striving, and you cannot hand anything on to those who you love and you want to help.
Yeah, I think that's right. This was a tax that was originally designed for the very wealthy. It is now reaching ordinary households.
What is very wealthy?
Very wealthy.
They reckon over 40 grand a year is very wealthy in this country.
Well, no, I think we're talking the upper echelon.
People that own castles.
Plus 100,000. But the issue is that the nil rate band has been frozen since 2009, and cost of living has increased by 80%. House prices are up 200%. Salaries haven't increased that much.
No.
And so actually people who used to be very wealthy now feel the pinch. We're in a cost of living crisis.
So do you think the system needs to be updated?
I think that we should be modernising the system in line with the 2025 economy. It's stuck in a 2009 threshold, and I think everybody would benefit if we rethought it, and that's what the budget is an opportunity to do.
Everybody would benefit, but who is it affecting? I mean, there'll be people saying here, well, this doesn't affect me. I live in a council house. This doesn't affect me. Does it affect them?
I think if you live in a council house, depending on the area, you know, it may not affect you, but I think who it does affect is an ordinary family with a semi-detached in the southeast. You know, these are people who wouldn't have 15 years ago been classified as wealthy, and they are now being taxed like they are.
And the children of that generation who are so reliant on inheritance that they won't be able to get on the property ladder unless they have something passed down to them.
Well, that's exactly right. So in a survey that we did, and I think Eamonn referenced it earlier, 39% of 18 to 24-year-olds rely on an inheritance to pay off debt. The number is even higher for those who rely on an inheritance to buy.
Yeah.
As I said, property prices have increased 200% over the last 15 years. It's becoming...
Salaries aren't keeping up, are they?
Salaries aren't keeping up, and it's becoming harder and harder to buy. So this lifeline that people had has changed, and I think, you know, we've been told for years, buy homes, invest in pensions, build businesses, because it's a safe inheritance tax haven. The goalposts have moved, and I think the issue is people lose trust in government-backed saving vehicles.
Are you hearing more and more now about, you know, the 7-year rule, people passing on their property via that way, trying to gift property, trying to get out of inheritance tax that way? Yeah,
in a recent article, the GB News wrote that 636 million has been extracted from pensioners' homes over the last few, I think, several months or years, which is an unprecedented amount, and people are trying to get that money out before it hits the inheritance tax net.
OK, George, good to see you this morning. Thank you for bringing that to us.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. Let's just get an update on what's happening on the roads today. It's cold. Is it snowing? Is it frosty? Let's find out.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Today, on the A83 at Tyne both directions are restricted due to a road incident causing delays. On the M4 eastbound, drivers should be cautious of an accident between junction 24 Coldra and junction 23A Mega. In Staffordshire, anticipate congestion on the A38 northbound between the A5121 and the junction with the A5132. In Bedfordshire, a collision on the M1 northbound between junction 11A and junction 12 is causing substantial delays, with 3 of 4 lanes closed. And on the trains, there are replacement buses between Cleethorpes and Barton-on-Humber. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
OK, here's the deal. A motorhome, £30,000 in tax-free cash, and here are all the details.
There's just 3 days to see how you can win big, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. The coming year could be your best yet, but hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Things moving at great speed today, things developing on the news front, on the sports front, particularly in Glasgow. Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, it's announced resignation last night of Brendan Rodgers, the manager. It seemed that things were not very happy there. They're 8 points behind Hearts, which is not good because it's like we said, it's 41 years since anybody outside of Celtic or Rangers won the Scottish Premiership. Out of the Champions League, he complained signings were forced on him, said there was no extension offered to his contract. And then there was recently, he said that there's no way you'll go into a race and be given the keys to a Honda Civic and say, I want you to drive it like a Ferrari. It's not going to happen. It seemed like one of those off-the-cuff things to say, which seemed quite clever and quite funny at the time, but it really seems to have come back and haunted him. Now,
you see, Celtic would have seen it if they were running away with another title again. It would all, look good.
Of course it would.
They wouldn't have to spend money.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to spend money, and the directors may look upon that as, why are we spending money? Then you get to this situation where suddenly, for some reason, you end up 8 points behind the Hearts, and it does not look good, and it may not be reclaimable.
And this is one of the only leagues in the world, really, is if you're not fighting for the top spot, it's a disaster.
You're regarded as a failure.
It really is. Martin O'Neill, this is the interesting thing. The kid that was at your school, Martin O'Neill, he's now back as Celtic manager, but interim. 73 years old he is now.
I was talking to Martin recently, and I said, do you still have ambition to manage? And he said, yes.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
It never goes away. I mean, look at Roy Hodgson, for crying out loud. 282 matches, though. Martin O'Neill in charge of Celtic. And won 213, 7 trophies. So it seems very much a safe pair of hands to go back to in the meantime until they decide who will be the permanent manager. Maybe Martin is still thinking, let's go for it. Let's go for it. I'll stick around. Major shareholder at Celtic is a man called Dermot Desmond. He's the one we saw earlier with the extremely big moustache.
Have we got this interview lined up, folks?
We're hoping.
Right, sorry, we're trying to get Ramon Vega, a hero at Celtic, of course. He was a former treble winner.
Absolutely. So he's in Dubai at the moment, so hopefully we'll get him. But anyway, Dermot Desmond released a statement. This is a major shareholder at Celtic, saying that when we brought Brendan back to Celtic, it was done with complete trust and belief in his ability to lead the club into a new era. Unfortunately, his conduct and communication in recent months have not reflected that trust. Now, we've got Ramon Vega, hopefully, treble winner, who actually played under Martin O'Neill. Morning, Ramon.
In the shower, Ramon.
Good morning. How are you today?
Morning. It's great to have you back. I've got to say, though, that Ramon, bless him, got a call from me about 10 minutes ago, and he's going, what, in 10 minutes? I'm saying, come on, Ramon, you could do this.
Well, he's still in the bathroom there. It's all steamy.
Paul, you're never changing. Paul, you're never changing. You're last-minute.com. I have to say, 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
Lucky I was not on the loo, mate.
But breaking news from him. What do you think's going on at Celtic? There is a big fallout here between Brendan and the board.
Well, listen, first of all, I was a major love of Celtic because I was as a treble winner there, and I love the fans up there, one of the best in the world, I would say, be honest with you. Listen, Martin O'Neill, without a doubt, he gave me the chance to come to Celtic, and it was the best choice I made at that time to go there and win the treble. Coming in, of course, there's no doubt Martin O'Neill is one of the, I would say, great manager. He brings definitely stability. But of course, I think from Brendan Rodgers' point of view, there must be, and there's already, I think, accumulated the last few months, major kind of disruption between both the board and them in terms of how they see it, the club should be run. And I think Brendan Rodgers has pretty much, that's it. That can't really work like this, and pretty much told them in the face how it is. Listen, that's the way the football is sometimes. But at the end of the day, the owners make a decision at the club, and the manager has to do whatever they've been giving to.
Isn't it strange, though, Ramon? There's a couple of things I want to ask you. Firstly, that a manager would walk away. We very rarely see that. The main reason, because, you know, they don't get the money if they walk away. So it must have been bad for him to say, that's it, I've had enough, I'm out the door. You know, even if the writing was on the wall, you'd think you'd stick around and take the cash, wouldn't you?
Well, listen, I still like the old-fashioned way of pointing for character, and I think that fair enough to Brendan Rodgers, to be honest, to walk away like that, and not really looking in terms of the money point of view as well. He has principles in his own idea how to run the club in terms of from a sporting point of view, and he didn't see that there's any kind of help was being assisted or he'd been heard, to be honest with you, and he thought that's no point to be continue like that, because he would be potentially damaging his managerial kind of reputation point of view, and sometimes the reputation is much more valuable than the money might have been getting from sacking it.
Finally, Martin O'Neill, then you worked under Martin O'Neill. You say that he brought you into Celtic and he had great success there. It was a few years ago, Ramon, although you haven't changed at all in the slightest. But what about Martin O'Neill? Will he still have the stomach for it, the heart for it? Eamonn says that, yes, he always wanted to go back into management, but is it a job he's going to want permanently, and how's he going to change things?
Listen, Martin O'Neill point of view, in an old-fashioned way of coaching this well and managing point of view, without a doubt, he's more than welcome to come to Celtic Park. Listen, he's done, he's left a legacy there. You know, I remember we pretty much together, we cut that 9 in a row Rangers winning the league, and then we go into winning the treble straight away on that first season. Nobody will take us away from that, you know. And Martin O'Neill is loved up there at Celtic, without a doubt, and he will love Celtic. That's no doubt, no question. I think he's a good manager. He'll fit for Celtic. He will definitely give now a certain stability, because I think, you know, one walks away, it does give you a little bit of uncertainty from the players' point of view in the dressing room. And Martin O'Neill, without a doubt, he will come in and give some clarity, but also he's a manager. He gives you also the freedom as a player to express your talent, etc. And that's the beauty about Martin O'Neill as well.
Well, listen, Ramon, it's great to speak to you. We do hear that he's after a new Swiss centre-half, so if you know anybody, let us know. It could be your return to Celtic. Good to see you. Thanks a lot for coming on such short notice.
I've got my green shirt already, mate. I'm ready to go up there. I can walk up there. I love Celtic Park, you know that. Winning the treble, what can you do, mate?
We'll see you there. Hopefully he'll give you a bit more notice than I do. Thanks, Ramon.
Hi, Sal.
We can't see him in Dubai.
I can see a little bit of the background of Dubai, behind all the mist and steam.
I could wake up there.
Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think,
nice and hot.
I think we should do the programme from there.
It was only when he said, oh, yeah, at 12:30, all right, and I said, 12:30. And he's in Dubai at the moment. That's why.
Wow.
It's all right for some, isn't it?
It's not bad, is it?
Right, another guest coming up next. We're going to be live to Danny Krueger. Danny Krueger, former Conservative MP, now Reform MP, in just a moment. And we're going to be back right after this short break.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Many parts of southern Europe are going to have a fine day tomorrow, albeit there are a few showers here and there. And actually across parts of Portugal and Spain, heavy thundery rain pushing through here. There's the potential for 50 to 100 millimetres of rain in just a day or so, which is around the average for October. But further east, like I said, a lot of dry weather to be had. But worth noting, some showery rain pushing its way eastwards across parts of Cyprus, though this doesn't look especially heavy. More fine weather for most as we go through the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
She's got a huge platform, so it really is wonderful that she's raised this issue.
Sandy, do you have any tips for parents who want to, keep screens out of the home? I find myself, as a parent, I'll be sort of Googling whether my son's development is right or whatever, or, Googling something about my son, and then I'll see that he's trying to play with me and I've been distracted by my phone. But I sort of have the best intentions, but I'm sure that's what everyone says. Do you have any tips for how to make phones and family more compatible?
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly for very young children, they don't really have a good concept of time. So to say to them, you can have the device for 20 minutes means nothing. So what I recommend to families that I work with is that they have screen-free places in the home where no one has a screen, and there are particularly important ones. So meal times, which the Princess of Wales raised yesterday, that's hugely important. It's a great time for the family to get together and talk. And also children being on screens during meal times has been shown to contribute to childhood obesity, because children don't register when they're full and they don't stop eating because they're distracted. The other really good place to avoid screens for everyone is the bedroom, particularly the children's bedroom, because it affects the quality of their sleep, how long they sleep. And first thing in the morning is particularly bad. It's been shown that children who watch screens in the morning have worse behaviour, attention and concentration throughout the day. And they're far more likely to have a speech and language problem.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
We say hello, good morning and welcome once again to David Wooding and Scarlett Maguire as they go through the newspapers with us today.
Scarlett, let's have a look at the case of Hadush Kabati, shall we? He is the sex offender, the failed asylum seeker, sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl, wrongly freed from jail on Friday. And now David Lammy's saying it's human error that led to that mistake.
So it seems very complicated how you free people. Is that somebody makes up a list in the prison, then it's given to another department in the prison that aren't prison officers but are sort of home office people, and then they make up they take the list and they do it. And obviously during all these lists that people were going through and making sure that various things happen, that he slipped in wrongly, because I think he was supposed to go to a detention centre to be deported, and instead he was freed. So clearly something went wrong. The problem is it's not the first time. We wouldn't have heard about it, except he was so infamous by this time that it's happened literally hundreds of times this year.
David, what do you think?
Yes, David Lammy's coming in for a bit of stick in some of the papers this morning too. I mean, Robert Jenrick, his shadow Justice Secretary, is calling him Calamity Lammy and accusing him of feigned anger. So clearly, this whole mess has impacted on the government, even though it's human error.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, to be fair on David Lammy, there's nothing feigned about his anger.
No.
I mean, he is absolutely apoplectic. The last thing he wanted was to spend a whole weekend with some guy who should be deported, wandering around Finsbury Park.
They say human error, but really what we're talking about is system error, isn't it?
Exactly, because it's happening too often.
And why they need an inquiry into this, goodness knows. I mean, a blind man and a galloping horse could go in and say, there's the problem, you sign that off, you don't, you're fired, get out, whatever. It's just some tough talk is needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but now we've got prison governors accusing David Lammy and Labour of pantomime politics. They say this system is broken, under-resourced, neglected and failing. And talking about doing these extra checks, they say just won't cut it.
Yeah, I mean, look, there is a real problem that we don't put enough money into prisons. One of the reasons that we have such a problem with prisons is that we haven't been investing in actually building new ones. The other one is that every time something goes wrong, and it doesn't matter what party is in government, they go, oh, well, we'll make the prison sentences longer. This doesn't actually help anybody.
Exactly.
You then go into prison where there is no rehabilitation, there's no education. So then you have people coming back all the time.
But the one thing is, and I'd say this to any politician, people don't care that their taxes are spent on prisons or police or anything else. That's what they want their taxes to be spent on. You think they don't. You think it's too expensive. But Scarlett has just pointed out, it's not the prisons that are a problem, it's what you do when you're in there, and you've got to spend money on that which you are not doing.
Yeah.
Steve Coogan hates me.
Oh, does he?
He is. I find him very funny. Alan Partridge.
He is very funny as Alan Partridge.
Very funny.
Yeah.
But he has, when he writes about me or talks about me, he is, you can his hate, his bile comes out about it. And he's done the same with this man, Richard Taylor. Who is Richard Taylor?
Richard Taylor is one of the senior people at Leicester University, which helped find the bones of Richard III buried under a car park in Leicester back in 2001 or whenever it was. It was not too long ago. Anyway, he's written this truth broadcast, this truth film, he calls it, on Steve Coogan has, about the whole case, and it involves a character who is Richard Taylor, and he says Richard Taylor complained and sued, saying it made him to be smug, unduly dismissive, patronising and so forth, and sued, and they've had to pay £3 million in legal costs plus substantial damages. The Mail have done a big spread interview with the family, saying that Steve Coogan, who's a campaigner against the media, is showing great hypocrisy because he talks about the truth himself.
All right, David, Scarlett, thank you very much indeed. Now we're going to take a break and we're going to have a look at the weather now with Alex Burker. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Danny Krueger from Reform UK.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. Here's your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, things are going to be a bit mixed through today. There will be quite a bit of sunshine on offer, but also some rain at times too. A bit of a murky, drizzly start across some southern counties, and whilst a lot of this rain is going to clear away, some far south-southwestern parts will stay quite grey, and there could be a bit more drizzly rain to push its way in. Otherwise, we're looking at sunny spells for many of us, but also quite a few showers, these mainly pushing their way in across parts of Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, some of them feeding into other areas too. Temperatures are going to be around or a little bit below average for some, especially towards the north, further south, nearer normal, with highs of around 15, possibly even 16 Celsius. As we go into this evening, we're going to stick with the showery theme across western parts of Scotland in particular. Some of them could be quite heavy. Further east, a little bit cloudier across some parts of Aberdeenshire and towards the far northeast of Scotland, with a few bits of rain here as well. More showers to come through this evening across parts of Northern Ireland. Plenty of showers feeding into northwest England and North Wales. Elsewhere across many parts of England and Wales, ending the day largely fine, albeit cloud and rain across the far southwest will push its way northeastwards as we go through the start of the night and becoming a bit more widespread as we go overnight as well. So central counties of England and Wales likely to be pretty cloudy and pretty wet through the early hours of tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, some clear spells here and there, yes, but also a fair few showers as well. For many, it's actually going to be a slightly chillier night than last night, more widely seeing temperatures dropping into single figures, could get close to freezing in some sheltered spots of Scotland. As we go through tomorrow then, quite cloudy, wet at times across the southern third of the UK, more rain pushing in from the west and southwest. Further north, similar to today really, so there will be some sunny spells around, but also quite a few showers, these heaviest, most frequent across western parts of Scotland. Again, a north-south split when it comes to temperatures, cooler in the north, relatively mild further south. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24. sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A83 is shut at Tyneside due to a road incident. Drivers should consider an alternative route. On the M4 eastbound, there's an accident from junction 24 Coldra to junction 23A Mega, causing delays. In Bedfordshire, a collision on the M1 northbound between junction 11A and junction 12 keeps 3 of 4 lanes closed, with an estimated 1 hour delay to clear by 12:38. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway has buses replacing trains between Cleethorpes and Barton-on-Humber, and no trains run between Watford Junction and St Albans Abbey on the London North Western Railway. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Breakfast. Let's head straight to Westminster now, where we're joined by Reform UK MP Danny Krueger. Good morning to you, Mr Krueger.
Hello there.
Morning, Danny. Can I start? I know you're here to talk about the civil service, but can I start by asking you about Sarah Pochin's comments about TV adverts?
Yeah.
Her saying it drives her mad to see adverts full of black and Asian people. She's come under a lot of fire for those comments. Sir Keir Starmer branding those comments racist, and both Labour and the Lib Dems calling for her to be suspended from Reform UK. What's your response to her comments?
Well, listen, I think it was really regrettable what she said. Clearly, it was wrong to say those words. However, Nigel Farage is right. She didn't mean what it sounds like she meant. And if she did, if she was actually a racist, she wouldn't be in the party anymore. What she was talking about was a different issue, which was about the overrepresentation of ethnic minorities in advertising, which is a real thing. But listen, that's no excuse. We've got to be responsible for what we say, and she's rightly apologised for that. I think it's a real shame, because so many people will be very naturally very hurt and offended by that. But the main thing is Nigel's has a common sense approach. He's forgiving. He's concluded that she didn't mean it. She meant something different. She's apologised, and that's it.
Can you admit, though, that the response from Reform UK to this has been disorganised? I mean, as you say, Nigel Farage saying she didn't mean it, but he did say that her wording was ugly and wrong. He said that he was unhappy with her. We've got you saying it's regrettable what she said, and then you've got Zia Youssef coming out saying she needs to be robustly defended.
No, I think those things are compatible. The fact is, it was the wrong thing to say. The words themselves were ugly and crass. But it's also true that she didn't mean it in the offensive way that it sounded like. She's not racist. She was talking about a different point. And I think it's necessary and important that we have a mature approach to mistakes that politicians make. If we conclude in our party that she's actually a racist who genuinely doesn't like to see black and Asian people on TV, then obviously she could have no place in our party. But that isn't the case. She doesn't think that. Of course she doesn't. What she's talking about is a particular sort of political correctness that is prevalent in the advertising industry, which she and many people find regrettable. So that was the point she was making. Unfortunately, she said some words that were in themselves very wrong and offensive, and that's why she's apologised.
Danny, what you don't like to see is the cost of the civil service, what they're spending, how they're manned, how they're staffed and whatever. And we get that. There's 500,000 of them, and the size of the civil service people working for them. But what about what they spend that money on? People, if they're not spending the money, then how do the prisons function? How does our tax office function? How do we get a driving licence? You know, so is it not necessary to have them?
No, not on the numbers that we have, and those are good examples. We obviously need frontline staff. I mean, I have a lot of experience working in prisons, and I know that the front line is undermanned there. So I'm not proposing making significant cuts at the front line in any of our public services. What we need is to reduce the head office. And, you know, you mentioned the driving licence. I mean, that system could be far more efficient with less people working in that department. Likewise, the passport office, which actually has improved significantly in recent years by digitising their work. So you can make efficiency savings, reduce headcount and cost, and improve the service. What we're announcing today, though, is a programme of real estate reduction. So here I am in Westminster. All around here are these great glass and steel towers occupied by government departments, costing tens of millions of pounds a year each. Actually, we don't need those offices. We can reduce the headcount of the civil service and restore Whitehall to Whitehall itself, which is the street up here, where the whole of the government, the whole of the British Empire was administered from a few buildings in that street. That's what we need to get back to. And we can save the taxpayer at least £100 million a year just by giving up the leases on 5 buildings that we've identified today that are coming up for lease renewal. Give up the building that the Home Office is in, that the Department for Health is in, the DWP, the MOJ, all of these great buildings that clog up Westminster, and restore government to the proper centre of power. And then the other thing quickly is to ensure that those civil servants answer to the government itself, not to their own permanent secretaries. Ministers should be in charge of the government of this country, and at the moment they're not. That's why we have so much dysfunction in the British state.
So how many civil servants do you think would have to go?
Well, we're not giving a number yet because we haven't yet designed the shape of Whitehall that we think we will need to implement the policy plan that we are putting together. But even to reduce the size of the civil service back to the pre-Brexit levels that it was 10 years ago would be a 30% reduction in headcount. I think that is eminently achievable, and we'll actually have a more efficient state that actually serves taxpayers and citizens better. So I think we can achieve at least that number, but it depends on the functions themselves. I mean, there's huge areas of Whitehall payroll that are unnecessary in HR, in comms, and indeed in policy, which has swollen enormously in recent years, which we can get back to. I mean, just to tell you, Sir Robert Peel in the 19th century ran the entire Home Office, which basically was the domestic policy of the state, with less than 20 people. I mean, Lloyd George took the People's Budget through Parliament in 1911 with a Treasury that was 20 people large. I mean, that was all you needed in those days. I don't think we can get back to those sorts of numbers, but you can show it's possible to run an effective government without what we have hundreds of thousands of civil servants around here, many of whom we don't need.
Just before we let you go, I want to ask you about our top story this morning, which is the government's plan for asylum seekers to be housed in military sites instead of hotels. This is the Cameron Barracks in Inverness and the Crowborough Army Training Camp in East Sussex. Are you supportive of that plan?
I'm not, and I'm very concerned about it. I have a large military community in my constituency. We've housed huge numbers of Afghans and others in recent years. So I don't think the answer to the small boats crisis is to use up our military accommodation for them. The answer is to stop the boats. themselves to stop people coming over the channel in these numbers, stop them absolutely by ensuring that anybody who arrives here is swiftly detained and deported. We can only do that if we leave the ECHR. My party is committed to doing that. We have a whole plan for detention and deportation. That's the way to reduce, to eliminate this problem of illegal migration. We should not be putting people into military accommodation or into hotels. We should be deporting them.
OK, Danny Krueger, thank you very much for joining us this morning on Breakfast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll take you through the headlines today. Small boat migrants will be moved from hotels to former army barracks, as you have just been hearing.
Yes, the government makes the announcement in an effort to find a cheaper and more appropriate solution to accommodate for those who cross the channel in dinghies.
Under the plans, the first 900 will be moved to 2 barracks, Inverness and East Sussex, by the end of next month, just before Christmas.
Well, local opposition, as you can imagine, is already mounting, with residents expressing concern over consultation, infrastructure and the suitability of the sites.
But are these plans used by previous governments only to be challenged by human rights lawyers? Will it be scuppered before it has even started?
How long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Have you asked the police to cover up for Andrew?
The King is heckled by a protester over what he knew about the relationship between Prince Andrew and the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It comes as it's being reported that Buckingham Palace is in talks to find Sarah Ferguson a new home.
Well, that lone protester has yet again caused Prince Andrew to overshadow the work of the royal family. And meanwhile, these negotiations about the future of Royal Lodge, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson intensify.
Prison governors accuse the government of what they term is pantomime politics over the mistaken release of the migrant sex offender Hadush Kabatu, adding that the new checklist announced by David Lammy won't cut it.
Reform UK promised deep cuts to the civil service and a Whitehall cull. We were just speaking to Danny Krueger.
And these are live pictures coming in from Jamaica. British tourists locked on in hotels there. Hurricane Melissa heading their way. It will be the strongest storm on the planet, and it edges towards the Caribbean island, and it will make landfall any time in the next few hours.
There's some sunshine, but also a bit of rain around today. Stick around to find out which you're going to see more of.
A very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. Thank you for your company. With you until 9:30. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Live pictures of Hurricane Melissa here coming in from Jamaica. And if you have any family there on holiday or any family living there, our sympathies to you.
Yes.
3 people already dead in Jamaica or in the area as the hurricane is headed that way, and this will possibly be the strongest on record. It looks like it will be the strongest on record for the island.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nervousness in Jamaica. The Prime Minister speaking to American outlets overnight, saying that no infrastructure on the island is built to withstand a Category 5 storm, which is what this is. It's been designated that by the National Hurricane Centre.
Well, those are live pictures that you're seeing there, and what we can tell you is that tropical storm conditions are already being recorded in Jamaica. Catastrophic and life-threatening hurricane-force wind conditions will begin any moment now.
Well, Yvette Cooper, the British Foreign Secretary, has just posted on X. She says she's spoken to her Jamaican counterpart. She's offered her support, and they say they're monitoring the path of the hurricane as we speak. The UK government advising British people in Jamaica to continue monitoring weather updates, to follow the guidance from local authorities, and they've also listed a number of hurricane shelters for those in need, because of course a number of holidaymakers and tourists are in Jamaica, aren't they, this time of the year?
Well, let's get into our top story this morning as it affects us back here at home. Thousands of small boat migrants, they're going to be housed in and moved out of those hotels and housed in 2 army camps, one in East Sussex, one in Inverness. Joining us now in the studio with his comments on that and much, much more is political commentator Andy Preston. Good to see you, Andy.
Hello, Eamonn.
You heard what Danny Krueger was saying there from Reform UK. He was saying this is not the answer to the migrant crisis. Leaving the ECHR is the answer, he says.
I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think most people have shifted in their opinions of the problem and can see that. But I think if we take this at face value, what's happening, it is a good move because, in theory, what's going to happen is people will go out of expensive hotels where there's not just a financial problem but community tensions, put somewhere where it is safer for the community, safer for asylum seekers. So in some ways, what's not to like? I think the criticisms that are bound to arise imminently are that this is too little too late. And if it's a good move now, it was a better move 12 months ago and billions of pounds ago.
It's going to be hugely expensive, though, isn't it? It's not necessarily going to be cheaper than hotels, making this accommodation suitable. I mean, loads of these buildings have got asbestos in them. I mean, the land will have military-grade chemicals, I mean, unexploded bombs and the like as well. So that'll be expensive. And there'll still be community tensions. I mean, what we're talking about are lovely, rural, beautiful parts of the country.
Ellie, I think there's some truth in that. The plan is for the end of November, isn't it? But that's only, 5 weeks away? There could be a million twists and turns, huge amounts of local opposition.
Yeah.
Look, the government is on the ropes, Keir Starmer's on the ropes, and when that happens in politics, it's almost impossible to recover. I think that, on the face of it, this is a better move than the awful situation. But the truth is, we need to slow down the crossings and stop them. And the only thing that will do that is offshore processing.
Well, we had that, and it was scrapped.
We had that, and it was scrapped. I mean, people like myself were against the Rwanda scheme. I think most of us now acknowledge it's the way to turn off the tap, to keep people safe, reduce the crossings, save the deaths in the channel.
Yeah. Could you see it being reintroduced?
I absolutely can. I think
under Labour?
I think the public will is there. Whether Labour will do it now or in 2 years, they will be scrabbling around for support him. And they're on the ropes. They didn't even want to do this, but they're reacting to bad news.
You know, Andy, we're going to hear from the Chancellor, between now and the budget, whatever that is, in 3 weeks' time or whatever. And she'll be grumping and groaning about the lack of money that the country has and whatever. And then day after day, I just present news about costing money, spending money, and Danny Krueger was talking about closing down some government buildings in London, and that will save 100 million quid. I tell you, I could walk into the Treasury and say, save that, cut that, take that away, whatever. Why do we only see wealth creation coming through taxing? We tax people, we spend tax money. Get out of it. I mean, we've got to have more of an open mind towards things like fracking, where we'll create or generate our own wealth. Surely.
Eamonn, there's a spirit of fear in this country. Entrepreneurs are discouraged. We love bureaucracy and we love taxes. We need to change that. But it's a cultural change that's needed. And one thing I'll say really quickly, cutting costs in the civil service is brilliant. But when you slash management, the people beneath them who are delivering often do a worse job over time. So it saves money short-term and leads to chaos down the line.
OK. Well, thank you very much indeed for your comments, Andy. Appreciate you being around this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Buckingham Palace is reportedly in talks to find a new home for Sarah Ferguson as discussions continue over Prince Andrew's future at Royal Lodge. OK,
here's Cameron Walker now. He'll give you more on all of this and the relationship between the royal family, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson.
Yeah, tricky. So, obviously, Sarah Ferguson is divorced from Prince Andrew and has been since 1996. They've been cohabiting in Royal Lodge, a 30-room mansion, since 2008. And the problem is they're being kicked out of Royal Lodge, we think, and they can't really live in the same property because they are divorced. So that is why we're starting to see rumours that perhaps are going to be moved into 2 separate properties. The Sarah Duchess of York has essentially been a lodger in Prince Andrew's home, which he has the lease agreement for Royal Lodge. So the King doesn't have any obligation, perhaps, to house her. But the problem is, if you take her out of the royal fold, the worry is perhaps that she could be forced to do a tell-all memoir, for example, to make money, because the Mail is basically saying she's got nowhere to go. I think a lot of people would perhaps point out that she has 2 daughters who are married to 2 millionaires and perhaps, you know, could be supported that way. But the problem is, of course, all of this is continuing to overshadow the work of the royal family. And we saw the King heckled by a single protester in Lichfield yesterday, to the annoyance of the thousands of well-wishers who were there. Let's just point out, of course, it was one protester who was yelling at the King and thousands of well-wishers who were there to support the King. And that protester was pulled back. But the fact of the matter is, in this country, you've got a right to protest, and the protester was asking what a lot of the papers have been asking and what a lot of members of Parliament are increasingly asking as well, the links between Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew. And this is why we have seen the probing into his lease of Royal Lodge, and this is why we have got to this conclusion where he is paying peppercorn rent, even though he did pay £1 million up front for it when he moved in, and £7 million of renovation costs. But he is not paying the Crown estate, which means that taxpayers are indirectly losing out on potential revenue to benefit the Treasury. And that's what seems to be the biggest issue here at the moment, rather than the titles or all the rest of it.
Because it's the optics, isn't it, of not one but 2 royal households that we're now talking about.
Yeah.
That they would inhabit.
Yes, so Frogmore Cottage, Harry and Meghan's former home, is being perhaps dubbed for Prince Andrew. Sarah Ferguson reportedly wanting Adelaide Cottage, where the Prince and Princess of Wales move out next month. That's just what's being reported in the papers. Buckingham Palace are not commenting on who's moving where. I suspect what's really happening is a lot of ideas are being floated, and they haven't quite decided on, you know, the agreement yet. They're still thrashing out negotiations.
And in the meantime, it's going to continue to overshadow the really important work that the King is doing.
Yeah, and I'm sure Prince William actually is probably particularly annoyed because he's going to Brazil next week for his Earthshot Prize, and he will not want his problematic uncle overshadowing his Earthshot Prize.
No, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Prince William. Thanks very much indeed, Cameron. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Here's the Great British Giveaway, and it is great. Have a go.
There's just 3 days to see how you can win big, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. The coming year could be your best yet, but hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be speaking to Luke Pollard from the government. That's next.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray,
Are you a human trafficker?
boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Now, I've got a treat for you now. Because as Halloween approaches, many of you may have been looking forward to the annual Halloween walk for sausage dogs.
There is an annual Halloween walk for sausage dogs.
Called Halloweeny. Which I think is such a good idea. Yes, it's an event at Hyde Park in London. Sees hundreds of Dachshunds gather all together in costume to celebrate Halloween.
And they are beautiful little things, but they're not going to be doing it this year. The event has been cancelled. Fears that it has become too popular. And here in the studio, one of those popular people, Jade Marie Mason, who's here with her little dog, and that doggy's called Pooch.
Hi, Pooch.
And Pooch is a little bit nervous, we can tell.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So, Jade, what happened?
Jade Marie, have you done the walk? Have you been involved in this before?
Yeah, we've been for like 3 years now, actually. It's organised by a place called Hyde Park Sausage Dog Walk. They've got like an Instagram account and a TikTok account and everything. And they do Christmas walks, Halloween walks, like Easter walks, summer walks.
And the aid of the purpose is what?
I think it's just to get people together to celebrate their dogs. You know, they're really loyal dogs and they're really spoiled dogs.
So they celebrate Dachshunds?
I think they do them for other dog breeds as well, but I guess Dachshunds have just become so popular, especially on social media.
Jade, I've got to ask you about Dachshunds. I think they're lovely, they're gorgeous, and different variations of them are really fantastic. I worry about their shape, their form, the length of their back and injury.
Health issues,
Yeah. So Pooch was actually paralysed from the waist down 6 months ago. And she had surgery on her spine. She has a disease called IVDD, which is really popular in Dachshunds.
Yeah, it's really common, isn't it?
Yeah, and it just means that they get degenerative discs in their spines and they can rupture and basically cause paralysis. So she was rehabbed at somewhere called Davies Vet Specialists in Luton, and now she's completely back to normal. She's got a bit of a funky walk, but she's fine. She's perfect, really.
And you would have been looking forward to this walk on Friday, Halloweeny. Do we know why it was cancelled?
It was cancelled because it got a lot of media attention, and I think they were just worried.
Let's take that caption off the screen there, because we're not seeing the dog as a result. We want to see that. The doggy's coat, there's a story behind the doggy's coat, isn't there?
Yeah, so she's wearing an Alcatraz jumper just because wherever I go on holiday, I tend to get her a jumper. And then we did little money bags and a wanted poster because she's meant to be a bank robber.
And this is the thing on Friday, they're meant to all dress up, aren't they?
Yeah, a lot of people still went. to the one on Sunday that was meant to happen because the Royal Parks did cancel it, but I believe it's just a public park, so a lot of people still went to walk their dogs, they still wore their costumes, and everyone just had a really nice time.
Why do you think they are such a popular breed in Britain? They are everywhere, aren't they, Dashers?
I know. They're really, really loyal, they're really loving, they're really cute. I mean, you can't not love them. They're really cute.
Have they got a nice temperament, Dachshunds?
I think some can be really barky. Pooch is a bit like a cat in a dog's body. So, oh, that's so cute. Pooch is a bit like a cat in a dog's body, so she just sleeps all day, eats, sleeps, cuddles, that's kind of it. I know some can be a little different, but they're generally just really nice dogs.
Dec Donnelly, the TV presenter, you know, Ant and Dec. Dec Donnelly has a dachshund, and he brings it in the studio with him and everything, and it's so well behaved. And you were saying that in terms of work, they're very well behaved.
In my constituency office, when I was an MP, we had an office dog that was a Dachshund.
Because this is my plan. The bosses don't know this yet, but I'm planning on getting a Dachshund. And I said to Eamonn, I cleared it with Eamonn, I said, would you be happy if we had an office Dachshund? Like, just bring it to work every day. And you were very happy with that plan, weren't you?
Oh, very happy.
So we just need to run it by management, and I think we're ready to go. And Pooch, you can have a friend.
I've had a dog for 17 years, and she would never cause offence anywhere. She barks at the guys that deliver stuff to the door, but outside that.
Yeah. I mean, Pooch comes into work with me every day, and she just sits on my lap and.
And is she popular in the office?
Very popular in the office.
They're therapy, aren't they, dogs? They're calming influence.
Yeah. She brightens up everyone's day any time you take her outside, as everyone's smiling, especially with her quite interesting walk now. Everyone just kind of walks past her and smiles. Not really a limp, it's just she still lacks a lot of feeling in her back legs, so she kind of just skips.
Yes. And can my Ellie hold her because she's really
kind?
Can I?
Yeah, of course.
Hi, Pooch. You want to come for a cuddle with Auntie Ellie? Hi, darling.
Yeah. Look, it's a match made in heaven.
Oh, you want to go back to Mummy? No, you stay there. You get cosy with me. And was she rescued by you, or was she
she came from a breeder that got in a bit of trouble down where we were from, so we took her off their hands.
And Jade, what would your advice be to anyone who's thinking of having a dog, and what you would do with the dog's back and to keep it in good health?
I would say, honestly, the disease is they're born with it. I would avoid stairs and I would avoid them jumping off of things, but at the end of the day, they're either gonna they kind of have it or they don't.
And this walk.
Oh, Pooch, it's okay. You can go back to Mummy.
Have they cancelled it or threatening to cancel it?
They did. It was on Sunday.
It wasn't on Sunday, was it?
Well, it supposedly wasn't, but hundreds of people still went.
Oh,
yeah.
Power of the people.
Yeah, power to the people.
Exactly.
Very good.
Oh, well, Jade, thank you for bringing Pooch in. It's been so lovely to meet you both. And Pooch, you've been so well behaved. You've been fascinated by the cameras, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tell me this then, would that type of dog go top of your shopping list?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like a blonde one.
Adopt, don't shop.
Adopt, don't shop. I've got some great Dachshund charities, actually, that I've been looking into.
That's
You'll be glad to know. Thank you very much.
Miriam Cates this morning. Who's partnering you this morning?
Patrick Christie's. He'll be here shortly, but he was here till midnight last night, so I think we should let him have a little bit of a lie-in. But I'm afraid we can't promise you puppies and kittens, but we do have a great show. Of course, we'll have all the latest on this plan to house migrants in army camps rather than hotels. We've also got a couple of fascinating stories. One, Labour are planning to repeal the presumption that children, when their parents separate, will continue to have contact with both parents. Now, domestic abuse campaigners are hailing this as a victory. They're saying that fathers who are abusive will no longer automatically get access to their child. But lots of fathers campaigners are saying that actually this is going to cut good fathers out of relationships with their children. And we've also got the owner of a cafe in Preston who is offering people a 20% discount on their bill if they put their phone in a box in the middle of the table, which he calls a phone jail.
That's a great idea. And how much off the bill?
20%.
Wow.
Quite a significant saving. He wants people to talk to each other more, talk to each other in the cafe. And he's noticed that over the past few years, people just come in and look at their screens and don't engage in conversation. So I think it'd be a great conversation, that.
Brilliant. Miriam, thank you very much. We'll see you and Patrick at 9:30. Well, let's cross to Westminster now, where Minister for Defence Readiness and Industry, Luke Pollard, joins us now. Morning to you, Mr. Pollard. Morning. I know you're here to talk about this deal with Turkey. We'll get onto that in a minute. I just want to talk about our top story today, that asylum seekers are to be housed in military sites instead of hotels. The government's changed its tune on this one, hasn't it? Because when you're in opposition, you completely oppose this as an idea.
Yeah, what we've done is we've listened to communities from across the country who are expressing quite right concern around the number of asylum hotels in their communities. The Prime Minister has made the commitment to close all asylum hotels by the end of this Parliament, but we want to do it faster. And he has asked all government departments to step up. And the Ministry of Defence is stepping up. We're supporting our Home Office colleagues in looking at what are the bases that we have that we're not using for military purposes today that can be used to accelerate the closure of asylum hotels, as well as helping the Home Office keep the focus on processing applications faster. 24% of that backlog we inherited already gone, but we know there's a lot more to do. And I think the MOD can and is stepping up to support that whole of government effort.
They're stepping up. I'll tell you who they're not supporting. They're not supporting the local communities who live in East Sussex or live in Inverness. And don't tell me people are going to stand and put bunting in the streets and outstretched arms and say, welcome migrants, come and take over our whole environment.
No, and I also don't think that's actually what the experience of when these bases will be used will look like. But we do recognise that there's been significant concern. I know GB News have been reporting it right throughout the summer of people being worried about having asylum hotels in their communities. We're trying to process the applications. We're not talking about asylum hotels,
we're talking about army camps now. And there have been protests where the Lancaster bombers have been and various other aircraft landing sites and things. And people don't like it. There's no point saying you'll close down hotels and that'll solve the problem, because it won't.
What we're doing is we're responding to the very genuine public desire to see all asylum hotels closed. We agree with that. The Prime Minister has asked all government departments to step up to see how we can speed up the closure of those hotels. I think that's the right thing to do. We're looking at what bases we can provide in support of that, and an announcement will come from the Home Office very shortly about which bases we can support officially. But to do this, we not only need to close the asylum hotels, we need to speed up the processing. That's why we've hired hundreds of extra caseworkers to deal with the backlog. It's now been cut by 24%. We have already closed 24 asylum hotels, saving £1 billion, but we want every single one of them to close.
Okay, but I just want to ask people...
We've had to make those decisions.
Well, look, I just want to ask people, as regards to the bases, Army, Air Force, whatever, what is your view, folks? Get in touch with us. We'll reflect them on the station throughout the day. Have your say.
Can we talk about Hadush Kabatu, the man who was released in error on Friday after sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl? I mean, if it wasn't so serious, this would be something out of a Monty Python sketch. I mean, this is state failings with absolute basics.
Oh, absolutely. That should never have happened. It's right that David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, has commissioned an urgent investigation into what actually happened and how we can learn those lessons. But I don't want to see that person in the UK for a moment longer than he should be. He should be deported, and that will happen this week, because your viewers, like me, utterly disgusted by what has happened, not just in his horrendous crimes, but in the failing to ensure that he is properly deported at pace. We're learning those lessons. I want him off British soil as fast as we can get it. I'm anticipating that happens very, very shortly. But we've got to learn the lessons. That means supporting the correction when there's processes that have failed, understanding whether it was human error and how we support people to not make those mistakes again in the future. But ultimately, we need to build more prison places. We need to support our prison officers that work in sometimes very difficult circumstances. But I want to see that individual out of Britain. I want to see anyone who doesn't have the right to be in Britain removed. We've removed 35,000 people so far, but we think there's more that we need to do there.
And you expect him to be thrown out today? Will he be leaving today, Luke?
I want him out straight away, but I know that colleagues in the correct department are looking at deporting him this week. I hope that can be done as soon as possible, because your viewers, like me, are very angry about what has happened here, the failings. But this individual should not be on British soil. He should not be posing a threat to any British citizens. Let's get him out of the country as soon as we can.
Mr. Pollard, we're almost out of time with you. Just want to ask what you're here to talk to us about, which is this deal with Turkey for UK typhoons. Tell us more.
This is a huge bit of news. We have signed an agreement yesterday, the Prime Minister in Turkey signing an agreement for the export of 20 British-made Typhoon fighter jets. It's the biggest fighter jet export deal in 20 years, and coming so soon after we secured the £10 billion export deal of frigates to Norway. It shows that defence is an engine for growth. But really, for the workers, the skilled workers in Lancashire, in Bristol and in Scotland, as well as the 330 British companies nationwide that make parts and services for a Typhoon fighter jet, this is hugely good news and keeps the production lines open. That fills the gap between the Typhoon orders that the RAF have made and the new next generation Global Combat Air Programme, the latest 6th generation fighter jet we're making with our Italian and Japanese friends. This secures those high-paid, good skilled jobs for many years to come. It's a really good example of how defence is creating growth and securing jobs in our regions. But it's just the start, because I want to see more of our NATO allies buying British gear, helping to grow our economy, but keep ourselves and our NATO allies safe in these more dangerous times.
Thank you. Speaking to us from the Ministry of Defence, Luke Pollard there, MP.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it from us today. Thank you very much for your company. We'll be back tomorrow. Britain's Newsroom in just a minute.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A83 is closed at Tyne Lone. Expect M4 eastbound disruptions between junctions 24 Coldra and 23A Mega, and A19 northbound lane restrictions at the A184 roundabout in South Tyneside. In Norfolk, delays